When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I grew older, I set aside childish ways. Corinthians 13:11. In the distant future, mankind has spread into the stars and found it is not alone. Within the cluster of planets known as the Silrain Arc, many races strive for survival or supremacy. But throughout this array of planets, societies, and cultures, each has one thing in common: the crucibles. Scattered throughout the galaxy, each moon-sized structure contains a core of raw sorin, a form of mysterious energy used to power ships, cities, and sometimes the warping of the fabric of reality itself. Beings who can do this have been given a name: Espers. The power of God has been granted to God's children. It is a time of terror. It is a time of wonder. It is the time of Esper Genesis.
The hypest of hype is with you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, Arvanauts, to a Friday night stream. It is 8:30 Eastern on December 7th, 2018, in the year of our Lord, Anno Domini, etc., etc. Welcome to day 16 of Esper Genesis, Consigned to Oblivion. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you here. I hope everyone is excited and looking forward to some awesome space role-playing action as we bring ourselves back into the world of the Silrain Arc as we play this game, sponsored, of course, by Alligator Alley Entertainment. Before I get any further, just a couple of reminders about ways to support the stream. If you have not done so already, please make sure to follow the channel. That is a big thing, which helps a lot. Please make sure to check out the Patreon, which is Twitter, which is !ARV tweets. And while we're on the subject of that, make sure to retweet the stream, as Echo just said. That is !tweet, which will allow you to retweet the stream to all and sundry. Thank you to all of those who have retweeted it already. It really does make a difference as we try to broaden out beyond just the Twitch community and bring them into this Twitch community. So thank you for doing that if you've done so already, and if not, please consider doing so. !ARV tweets will allow you to follow my Twitter, actually. !ARV2 will let you check out past broadcasts of the stream, and !ARV Cord will let you check out the Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams, and I always try to go live on those when those things kinds of happen. Thank you, Echo. !ARV Shop will get you over to my merchandise area, and I should say that we are now very actively working on getting getting the extra merchandise up there so that it's not just Infinity and Beyond stuff. There is going to be more going up there in the near future. So we are making progress towards getting that done, which is awesome. But you can head over there for more details about that. Don't forget, if you want more details about this channel, you can always check out the website, which Kilobyte was kind enough to put together, arvaneleron.com, which has a link to the stream here. It has a link to the Curse of Strahd podcast, about which more in a moment. It has bios, it has information about the channel, and of course a calendar and a schedule of the channel, so that is always a good thing as well. And then last but certainly not least, the financial ways to support the channel, the Patreon, !ArvTreon, currently sitting at $381.96. That allows you to inspire the players in all of these campaigns. It allows you to get a copy of one of my band's albums. It allows you to get an epic poem or character background written for you or about you. It's got a bunch of other stuff. You can get even critiques of your writing depending on the level that you support at. So please consider doing that. It's really the financial backbone of the channel. That and the subscription system, of course, which is sitting right there above the video window. Thanks, by the way, to those. I saw J-Rab jumped in and resubbed, which I really appreciate. Aradinel jumped in and resubbed, which I really appreciate. So thank you to all of you who have resubbed, and please consider doing that if you would like, because it will give you the chance to do these things as well. By the way, inspirations have been reset, so you should be good to go on that. So tonight we have got Esper Genesis. We will be continuing this amazing space opera system campaign that we've been involved in, which is going to be a lot of fun. But I do want to mention that tomorrow we will have a very, very, very big announcement coming up that is channel related. Now, you already know that there's a little bit cool stuff going on. There is going to be a one-shot Esper Genesis Christmas special done by one Johnny Pittman, is going to be doing that on the channel. That's this month. And you also know that Alligator Alley Entertainment, the sponsors of this game, are going to be publishing my Forbidden Library trilogy of D&D 5e adventures. There's going to be a Kickstarter for that early next year, and I have other publishing news that is starting to come in fast and furious that I cannot wait to share. It's coming faster than the news that's going to lead to the impeachment of a horrific president. So all of that is good news. But again, I can't wait to tell you more about that, and that will be coming very soon. But tomorrow will be a big channel-related announcement about stuff coming to this channel in January. And so you definitely are not going to want to miss that. This is pretty awesome stuff, folks, and it's going to be something which is going to really help in terms of how we broaden the channel's reach and a whole bunch of other things. So I'm super excited. It's going to be good stuff. So that is going to happen, and you definitely do not want to miss this. That's going to be tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then next week we get back into a more standard kind of schedule. I wasn't able to do that on Tuesday, obviously, because I had committee stuff, but next Tuesday we'll be back to normal. So I will have my usual 12 to 3 stream. Adventures of Middle-earth will be returning, and then from 4 to 7 I will have Thronebreaker, and then next Friday we will have other stuff going on, more Curse of Strahd, and also the Arvocalist will be coming up pretty soon. Again, that couple of still scheduled things to confirm, but now the calendar is starting to firm up, as it always does around this time, so that is going to be happening as well. So for those of you who have already supported and have seen all these things, thank you, but for those of you who haven't, please consider doing so, because it really helps us to do that. All right, now let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this, and let's turn on that. There we go. Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. I am wearing multiple layers because it was cold, and I was out with my daughter at the Westchester Winter Wonderland, which last time that we went last year was brutally cold. It was not that cold this time, but for some reason I was wearing like my late fall coat. No. Not a late fall coat day. This is definitely a winter coat day, and I wasn't wearing it, so I was cold. But I did want you to all see. Notice I got the Star Trek. So I've got the Star Trek cred going on underneath my warm sweater that I've got right here. So I wanted to make sure that you folks knew about that. So it might be D&D with viewers. I can't remember what day it is, Echo. I'd have to take a look again. It's one of those days. But yeah, I'm just like end of the semester plus writing and other things going on, so there's a bunch of stuff happening. But with no further ado, we are going to head over and get moving here, because the time has come to bring our players back into the mix. So I have unmuted myself so that they know we're ready to go, and then I have unmuted them, and now we're going to head over there. Bum, 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 bum. There they are. They have returned, all except for one of the people, who we'll talk about in just a minute. But you will see that we have someone who is not with us over the last session or two, but is now returned, is back in the fold. And I am very excited to welcome her back. But this is, of course, your Esper Genesis crew. Again, many thanks to Alligator Alley for sponsoring us here. It is awesome to have you all here, and I cannot wait to see what happens in today's session. So Johnny Pittman, just before the session, said that he has got a power outage. He has been out in the American Midwest, which, for those of you who don't know, has been hit by basically snowpocalypse now. And so they are dealing with a nightmare of weather right now. And so that has really sort of thrown him for a loop. And so Johnny's not with us yet, although he is trying to find an alternate place. Now, what I'm going to advise is that really, since this is a space science fiction show, I really think that some preparation should have been made for an underground bunker. I think that some kind of fusion power, sorium power, would have been an appropriate thing. And I feel like there's a lack of commitment, honestly, to the role play in this situation. But
He's
anyway.
going to come in half an hour and he's going to be on a bicycle and powering his
I know. He's going to have a squirrel, like a hyperactive squirrel running. And,
Oh, goodness.
But
Run,
yes.
chipmunk, run, damn you.
God, move faster. Anyway, give up the body. Anyway, Johnny will be hopefully with us in a little bit. He is trying to find alternate locations, which is important because actually Johnny has some stuff to talk about regarding things happening that he's going to be involved with on this very channel, so I really want him to be here. But he also plays Aramis, the Ashen Forged Mender, and we will hear more from him. Of course, you did see him last weekend where we were here live and in person, and I was there, of course, with Carlos and Zach. But nonetheless, I'd like to have him here so we can have the full crew back together, but I'm sure we will get that done very soon. Moving right along, though, someone who is back with us and is... in a position now that she's able to celebrate a couple things too is Kat Rambo. Kat, welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you back. And are you happy about some things being done, projects being completed?
I just turned a manuscript in and sent it off.
Yes.
Beta reader. So my spouse, if you see him, he may come in with a glass of champagne at some point. And so, yes, I'm very glad to have that in. And I've got other stuff, of course, chasing my heels, but that's really nice to have done.
And we need some champagne in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like where, seriously, like, you know, it's the holiday season for miracles and celebrations.
Eggnog.
And eggnog, yes, that's true. My daughter today was kind of like, Daddy, have you ever had eggnog? I'm like, yes, I have. She's like, would I like it? I'm like, it would depend on the type of eggnog that we're speaking of, because it would depend. But anyway, but it's a pleasure to have you back, Kat. And now that you are back with us, we have a lot to catch you up on, I know. But in the meantime, who will you be playing as we catch you up on all this stuff?
I will be playing the towering sentinel Petra Sinis, the Ashen Forged with an enormous hammer and a stony face.
I was waiting for that. Like, it just keeps adding. It's like Homeric epithets of the this, of the that, of the this. But anyway, it's a pleasure to have you back, Kat, and I'm glad that we'll have a chance to celebrate and you know, your achievement. That's awesome. Moving right along, we move on to someone else who has been a busy bee, and that, of course, is Mr. Carlos Hernandez. Welcome back, Carlos. I know we did have you, of course, remotely last time, but I know you're not at liberty to talk about too much of any of these things. But how are you feeling about things these days on writing
things
side?
are good. Things are good. You know, it's the end of semester follies, basically, and so
Yep.
you know, we're just trying to, you know, vaudevillianly catapult ourselves towards, you know, the you know, whatever you know, pratfalls and whatever may come. So you know, when we play again on the 21st, my grades will be turned in, and I will be, you know, like all my gray hairs will
Super
have gone
chill.
away.
Yeah.
I've lost 10 pounds and gained 10 pounds of muscle. It'll be great.
Yep.
So, you know, but yeah, I mean, things are going really well. In the chat, I'm just going to go ahead and put this in for the early crew. That's a link to the Hour of the Wolf website where they had the New York Review of Science Fiction readings. I'm going to be a reader with my wife, Claire Cooney, this Tuesday. And so if you are in the New York area, come to Brooklyn and watch Claire and I put on a show for you.
Yeah, and definitely do that. I've had a chance to attend one of those, and both Carlos and I have been. Actually, Kat, you've been on Jim Freund's Hour of the Wolf. Okay, so yeah, like I have never met a science fiction fantasy author who has not been on Jim Freund's radio show. Like, we have all been on there at some point. Like, it's staggering. He, like, from Isaac Asimov up, like, he's had literally everyone. I don't know a single person he's not had on the show.
But
I had.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I went in at the time when you had to tape it, I believe 4 a.m.
Oh yeah, me too.
Which I don't. Is that still the case?
Oh yeah.
I think it's 3 now. So
Yeah.
That's so much
It's not
better.
insane. Yeah.
but
Oh,
you're right
man.
about him collecting. It's like I imagine it's sort of like the Portrait of Solitude, but instead of like having animals from all over the place, he just has all science fiction writers. You know?
Yeah.
You know,
It's exactly true. Well, I mean,
in
and
his menagerie.
it is weird going. It's funny you mentioned that, Kat, because it's funny going down there, and like this is the only time you would be able to find parking in Battery Park. Like there's just no, and you go down there and you can find parking, and the city is as in that area as quiet as it gets, which is not that quiet because it's still New York, but still. And you're walking into this studio which smells like a studio, if you know what I mean. That's been there for a long time, and like but it was great, and it's just really funny to see like the list is staggering. So anyway, yes, if you get a chance to see Carlos and Claire, you should definitely do that. And check out the Nursif readings. I think it's basically the two longest running ones. I'm pretty sure are that, and then the ones that happen at KGB are the other ones. So anyway, it's well worth it, and I'm very glad to see all the stuff, all the good things happening for Carlos. And while we're on the subject of good things, which good person will you be playing today, Carlos?
I will be playing. I mean, morally questionable in many ways, but the morally questionable, but perhaps good at heart in the way cats are possibly good at heart, but maybe not. Sleep well. So the Valna Sleep well, who is devoted to science and medicine and trying not to get himself trapped into these terrible combat situations, which he seems to have failed at again, as we're going to see in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, poor Sleepwell. As I mentioned to these folks before, there may, if they survive this, be a chance for them to finally breathe and take stock. But I would say that of any campaign I've ever run, this has been the most frantic of the campaign, which I think is like, it's a hell of a first few hours. Like it has got people hooked on the Netflix miniseries, but I do need to give them a chance to take a breath and to assess where they are. And they've had a few of those little breaths, but I want them to have a longer one. But we'll see. First, they're going to have to get through the world of Dead Space, as we'll talk about in just a minute, happening in just a moment. Before I do that, though, one last person to introduce who should need no introduction, but I will give him one anyway, and that, of course, is Mr. Zach Clay. Zach, how are you? How's life in your neck of the woods, sir, and the universe and all that?
Life is very good. I was just thinking, because we were talking about cool cats, that if Sleepwell, if Carlos's character took classes into like warrior or monk or something, then it could actually be Cat Rambo in the game.
Or if I was a disgruntled Vietnam veteran, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Could we have a montage where he does the whole like tying the bandana and like putting the catnip packets like on his belt and whatever? Like, oh man, that's good. So
that's like, it would be like Esper Genesis featuring Cat Rambo and Cat Rambo.
Yeah, Cat Rambo is not Cat Rambo.
Oh goodness. So I'm doing well, if you can't tell. Coming up with jokes and so on, but I'm doing very well. Lots of teaching. We were talking about how all four of us are teachers or professors in some way, shape, or form, which is very interesting to me. But life is good. So here tonight, I'm going to be playing Cosmoritis, who is a Bellare hunter, also known as Starboy, keeping the memory alive. And Dead Space is impending.
Very cool stuff. And I just realized that I need to make sure that I get Spindra over here. So yes, and that means there's a lot to sort of explain. It's like, Inigo in Princess Bride. This is too much. Let us sum up. So here's what we've got. This group, of course, as I mentioned, has been on the run almost since the beginning, but they thought that they were starting to find a way that they'd be able to get some leverage over their situation when they happened to stumble into control of what is arguably the most powerful ship in the galaxy, the Hyperlance, largely because it is able to be controlled by thought. The problem is that the Hyperlance is also the most dangerous and wanted ship in the galaxy, and so when they managed to break free, get it out of the hands of a couple of the gangs that wanted this, the Omega Fist and others from Peltiveria, the large space station on which they spent some time. They were pursued by these mysterious ships into this wormhole that transported them clear across the Silrain Arc to a unexplored, or largely deserted, I should say, area of the galaxy. They took some damage on the way through. As it turns out, they were not able to control the ship quite the way they wanted without their trusty AI sidekick, Alfred, who also has the possibility of killing anything that moves. So they avoided that problem, but they didn't avoid the problem of how to control the actual ship. And so the ship was damaged, and they needed to figure out how to be able to control it and repair it without questions being asked. And so Rona, who was with them on this, said that the only person that she knew who was a mechanic that was good enough to handle this and wouldn't ask any questions was a woman named Spindra, who could be found on that wretched hive of scum and villainy, Pel Seros. Now, if Peltiveria is the sort of Vegas of, the Silrain Arc, Pel Seros would probably be considered more like the 1970s Atlantic City suburb. It's got problems, is what I would say. It is run down, and it is not particularly reputable. There is not a big security presence there, and what security is done is handled more through bribes and graft and looking the other way, and much of the way that we currently run the United States government. That was sort of the way that was handled at the time. And so as they went to, thank you. Very subtle. As they managed to get to that base, they found Spindra under attack by a couple of mysterious groups of people. It turned out both of them were gangs that wanted a piece of some action that she had, and she was unwilling to give them that information. The party managed to step in just in time to be able to save her, much to Sleepwell's somewhat consternation, I would say. But at the other end of it, she was so excited about the fact that they'd been able to save her that she immediately said, "You need to help me. I can help you repair your ship. I can give you parts. I can even improve the ship you've got, but you've got to help me get the materials that I need from this ship that I have found drifting in space," a ship that she had previously herself served on, a ship called the Tangrel. Now, the party knew that there was something wrong with this story. Again, I want to go back to Sleepwell, who in particular found this whole thing very sketchy, and I think the party in general was not 100% sure whether or not to believe her, but at least it seemed clear that she was not hostile and that she would be able to reward them for their assistance of her. But it became clear that Spindra is not just a friendly mechanic who occasionally falls afoul of the law, but was obviously involved in more nefarious deeds, including happening to know where the Tangrel happens to be in the first place. Having fought off a enormous space slug called a Vorkata, which was known by the Bellari people, by Kaz's people, as an Evingor, also known as a demon. Kaz pulled an Aliens 3, I think, by using a massive claw on a ship to beat the living hell out of this Vorkata against the hull of said ship. Sleepwell then did a little bit of quick salvaging / surgery to cut a portion of the body of this thing apart and then stuff it rather unconvincingly in a crate in the hold of Spindra's ship. Oh yeah, no, it was definitely not just like a random piece. It was a portion. It was the head portion. Let's put it that way. Of the Plecostomus, which is the ship that you can see, which is currently on the bottom of the map there. He managed to save that, to get that bit of information, that creature, shortly before she started to ask the party to look outside the portholes of their ship, of the Plecostomus, for the Tangrel. Now, this is a little bit odd because you don't usually use, "Hey, look over there," to find a spaceship. Normally, you do things through this weird thing called sensors. But sensors didn't seem to be applicable here. They didn't seem to work on the Tangrel. But what did work was a direct visual sighting of this much larger than the Plecostomus ship. The ship apparently was dead, but the hangar bay was empty, and so she ended up pulling the Plecostomus up and docking with the airlock, whereupon she and the rest of the crew, reluctantly, entered into this ship to find the stuff that she was expecting to be there. Smuggled goods and a lot of machine parts and things which would be useful in servicing the Hyperlance, which is still back at Pelseros. So the party went in there, and everything was an emergency lighting. Spindra began to use an auxiliary control device that was found in the hangar bay where they were to basically turn on life support, shut some of the airlocks so that the air could return, the atmosphere could return, and turn on some of the basic lights. They found themselves in a massive hold. The bottom, sort of on the top level of this hold, and the bottom of it were a number of these blue crates, and then one set of black crates towards the back. And Sleepwell took some time to kind of do a recon of the entire area, looking around the whole spot. As he was doing that, Spindra stayed with Petra, while Kaz and Aramis went up to the front to be able to gather information and to be able to fire up the rest of the ship's power from the main control room. When they looked through the porthole of the main control room, they saw something floating inside the room in front of the porthole. They couldn't see what exactly it was. And it was not until they asked Spindra to turn on the power to the control room that they realized what it was that was happening. Sleepwell arrived on the scene just in time. And by the way, I should say that Kaz had also used his infravision and did not notice any heat coming from this room. That'll be important in a moment. They came to the porthole of this room, looked through it, and Sleepwell was coming up to them just as the gravity and lights went on in this center room, whereupon they saw the thing that had been floating hit the ground. It was a severed limb which splattered blood as it hit the ground, and when the party entered the room, they discovered that there were several bodies which had been neatly dismembered and were now lying, I shouldn't say neatly, the cuts were neat, the bodies were not neat. This was not surgery. They were basically killed forcibly and then torn apart. But the cuts that were made to do this were almost surgical and clean in their precision. These were chops, not just hack at you a bunch with an axe or something like that. And so the party was kind of looking at that, trying to figure out what the hell all of that meant, when they suddenly heard sounds, kind of a sort of a scraping sound. And then I believe, I don't remember if it was actually Kaz or who exactly it was that saw this. Actually, do you remember? Was it you, Kaz, or was it Sleepwell? I don't remember if it was you or if it was Aramis that saw this. Might have been Aramis. But in any case, saw this strange shimmering in the air just as Spindra was saying, "Oh, Frel, we might be in trouble." At which point we ended things before we could go any further. And so the party finds itself now with Kaz and Sleepwell and Aramis in the front, with Petra standing with Spindra in the airlock area, in the auxiliary control in the hangar bay, and with everyone wondering what the hell these invisible creatures actually are. So at this point, I'm going to start the music, and I'm going to ask everybody right off the bat to roll initiative here, and then we will talk about what it is that we're going to do. I've got the turn tracker up, so let's make it happen. Clear, Kat, relatively speaking.
Yes.
Okay. That's why I make sure.
I to keep it muted for the sake of the fire engines that go back and forth.
Yeah, no problem.
Ooh.
Okay. Gross, but sounds mostly harmless. Probably true, Methaneros. Also, what's up, Nonaval? Okay. All right, let's see what we've got. Oh, goodness. Which one am I supposed to believe, Zach? Is it the first
15.
one? It was the 15? Okay. Really?
Yeah,
Is that really the one I should believe? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
All right.
Because I have advantage.
All right. Let's see. Let me actually let me grab Petra's token too. One of the other reasons that I want nope, not that. I want to be able to have John talk to you is to get, he's got the Roll20 sheets complete, and so I want to make sure that we get that.
I was just about to ask about those and was thinking, should I ask? Has it become a sore point yet?
Do we?
Okay.
Did we get a chance to take a short rest before, like, we got attacked by the Vorkata slug thing, and then we came to the Tangrel. Did we have any time in between
Yes.
that?
Absolutely you did. Yeah.
For a short rest?
Yes.
Or was it a long rest?
Well, it was. I'm trying to remember. It was definitely a.
I don't.
Oh, it was
I
a
don't think
short
it-
rest. It was not a long rest because it was not that long after the Vorkata fight. You got a
Okay.
long rest before the Vorkata fight, so you got a short rest before this. But not a
Okay.
long rest.
Because I still have Kaz still has some of the damage from when the Vorkata was attacking the ship, like it was sapping him too. And I don't think we ever officially took that short rest. So if I could, I would spend like a hit die or two.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, thanks.
And I just gave you cat control of Petra, so you should be set. Except I put you in the wrong place. You should be there.
Okay.
Um,
And I can confirm that I have confirmed that I can move of my own volition.
all right, and you, a 3, huh? Okay. And let's see. Sleep well with the 10.
I'm all healed up.
Yeah, let's actually do a quick hit point check-in. Sleep well, I've got you at 21 out of 21.
Yep.
Okay. I have Aramis still at 12 out of 17. And actually, while we're waiting for him, Zach, do you mind controlling him?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I'll pull up the
Do
sheet.
you have control over him, or do I need to give that to you?
You probably. Yeah, I need control of
There
him.
you go. You got him now.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's see. So Aramis has got 12 out of 17. And
Yeah,
if you could roll initiative for him, or did you just do that?
I did not, but I can.
Yeah, if you could.
All right. So
Yeah, Aramis hopefully will be joining us, but he's got power outage problems at the moment. He's snow apocalypse now.
Hey, nice.
Wow.
Oh wait. Oh no, he has better initiative than that apparently. I'm guessing maybe because of his class, because his dex is a bonus of 1, but his initiative is set as 4, so it should be even higher than that. I
Wow.
guess.
Okay.
So at 23.
So 23. Right.
And then could I also? I don't remember what he took damage from, but could I also spend some hit dice for him from earlier? Because I don't think.
Yes, you can spend. You could spend the hit dice. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because you
Oh,
would have
I
had
think he
about
was-
an hour in between.
No,
Sorry,
but I
Kat.
think he was healed up.
I mean,
I
Carlos.
would have healed him up, during that rest.
Yeah.
No,
I had him at 12 out of 17. You probably because you were healing everybody. If you
Yeah, no,
remember,
I mean,
like-
I remember I had healed him
Hmm.
just before the last strike.
He for his health that he has on his sheet right now is 13 out of 17 actually. So I don't know. So I'll just spend a hit dice.
Let's say 13 out of 17. I know he was not at full because you were keeping him upright. Like he actually got hit to within an inch of his life a couple of times.
Yeah.
Carlos, and you saved him in those cases. Okay, so 23.
So just keeping him at 13 or
Yeah,
what?
keep him at 13 for now. I mean, well, if you want to
Okay.
use the hit die, you can do that.
Okay, I will. Let's see.
Just make sure you note it though.
Yep.
And you're at 25 out of 25 now, cuz because of the.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I'm so sorry. The short rest accomplishes what? Like, what does it give you?
So part of it is dependent upon class. The one thing it does in healing is you have a certain number of hit dice, which are determined by your class and level. And you're able to use those hit dice during a short rest to restore hit points. Once those pool of hit dice are gone, then you can't restore hit points that way. You would have to use other methods of healing until you take a long rest, at which point you get some of those hit dice back.
Okay.
Okay, and then Petra, I still have you at 23 out of 30. Does that sound right?
That sounds right to me.
Okay. Okay. Lovely. All right. So first to act is going to be Aramis. You see this shimmering, or you know, somewhere around you is this shimmering. And what is very unearthly about this is that you hear only the slightest scraping, as if of it might be metal, it might be a boot, it might be something like that is impacting the floor below you of the ship. But that's all that Aramis is able to see, other than just this light shimmer on occasion.
Okay. Interesting. And where is that shimmering coming from?
It is sort of varying, but it seems to be somewhere here-ish.
Okay. And other things in the room. So there's the dismembered bodies, and then what else? Can we tell what this room might have been used for?
Yeah, if you had to guess, you would assume that this was a navigation station because there's actually two, although they're currently dark, terminals, one up here and one here, which seem to have screens. They look a little bit similar actually to the one that is in the hangar bay that you saw Spinger using, but these ones look to be more complex. They're larger, they have more buttons and bells and whistles on them. And then there is this one other door which leads forward to what you have to assume is the actual cockpit. It's a little bit of an unusual thing, by the way. Normally, navigation systems, as far as you know, are found in the same room as the cockpit, but that does not seem to be the case here. There's a room in front of the navigation room, which is separated by a door, which seems odd. Hey, JLC.
Okay. So, in the interest of keeping a character that is not mine alive, I'm gonna have
hey, listen, he wasn't here.
I don't think we share the same interests, but okay.
I'm just looking through his spells right here. I see that there's this one called Aegis or Aegis.
Aegis, yep.
That allows him to have resistance to everything for a round.
Yep.
Using his action. So seeing that this shimmering is happening and all these dismembered bodies, he's just going to go into self-defense mode and try to figure out what's going on. And then maybe he can also move to a terminal. Did you say that there was one right there?
Correct. There's one there and there's one on the left side, same distance away from the door on the other side.
Does he feel like this shimmering is like within melee with him, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's indistinct, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty close. It's probably within a good 6 or, I mean, maybe if you're lucky, it's more like 7 or 8 feet, but it could be 5 or 6. So it's pretty close. Okay,
he'll stay put then. And I think that's it for him.
Okay. All right. So, the next thing that you find that happens is as follows. Give me 1 second here. Okay. So you hear this, as I mentioned, scraping, and it's just very slight. And then, sort of out of nowhere, you just get Aramis gets a quick glimpse of what look like 2 large, long, metallic, almost like razor blades that come slashing towards him, just materializing for a second. So it's almost as if the shimmer becomes solid for a moment and slashes out at him. And then they disappear again. So let's see what happens when they first do this. Okay. That's going to be a 19 to hit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even with his bonus, though?
Let's see here.
He has resistance, but that's not going to affect his AC. It just means it's going to lower his the amount of damage he takes.
Yeah, I can't tell what armor he's wearing, but his AC is set at 11, so.
Yeah, which sounds about right. He's not really a warrior, so.
Yeah.
Okay. He is going to take from this. Now, normally he would take 10 points of damage from this, but fortunately, you had the wisdom to throw up the Aegis first, and so as a consequence, he's only going to take half of that. So he will take 5 points of damage, not 10. That's the sort of good news. The not so good news. What was he at, by the way? I'm sorry. He was at what to begin with? 17?
Well, he was at 13, and then I spent a hit dice that healed him up. I think 8 I rolled or something.
So he was up to 17.
Or I rolled 5. So it brought him back to 17, so now he's at 12.
Now he's at 12, okay. So the good news is that there was this resistance here. The bad news is I need you to have him make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Okie doke. 1 click. Bam. So 12.
Okay, so these things slash his body, and the thing that Aramis feels immediately is this incredibly intense, piercingly strong feeling of cold. And there is a feeling as if someone threw liquid nitrogen on his body for a moment, like everything just freezes up, but then he possibly due to his ashen forged state and body, is able to kind of he kind of shakes it off, and he feels the warmth gradually returning. But there is something, this is not just cold metal, this is deadly cold metal for some reason that is not clear. And again, the shimmer basically was a whoosh, and then vanished again.
Okay.
However, the one thing I do want to note is that when it did slash and it sort of disappeared, you thought that you thought the shimmer became less indistinct, by which I mean it sort of clarified a little bit. It's still shimmery and you're still not really able to make it out, but it's a lot more clear than it was previous. It's almost as if you're now looking at where the disruption in the air in front of you is, and so now you're able to see it more clearly than you were previous to that.
Interesting.
So he is able to see it. Whether that affects anything else, we will find out. Okay. That is now going to lead us to you, Kaz. You just saw Aramis kind of stagger back, having been sliced by something.
Okay.
And I believe you're on the other side. Were you right through the door, by the way, or were you...
I think I would have entered one step in.
Just inside,
Yeah.
here-ish?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, that's what I figured too, but I want to make sure. Okay, so what do you want to do?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to try to restrain this thing somehow. So I'm going to look up the talent that I have to use for that. I think it's Graviton Strike. Let me make sure.
For a minute, I thought you were going to try to grapple it. I'm like, you were a brave Bard. let me grapple the razor thing.
I'm good.
This is a...
Okay.
Maybe not so
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. So Kaz is going to
What's up, Prince Justin?
self-preservation in mind. He's going to back away a little bit.
Okay.
What are these squares? Are these 10 feet? Or are they...
These squares are... that's a good question. I think they might be 5.
Or are they not relevant?
They're 10 feet, yeah.
Okay. So he's going to go 5, 10... and then is this actually a ladder that goes down, or is it
Yes,
not?
it is a ladder which goes down. You don't know to what, though. I mean, obviously, the lower floor, but you don't know what
Yeah.
that lower floor leads to.
A ladder into nothingness.
Correct. It's a ladder into a vacuum, into a mouth.
He's going to step back here, and then he's going to he's going to cast Graviton Strike as a bonus action, which means the next attack I hit a creature with is going to hopefully do some stuff. And then he's going to take a pistol, arm pistol shot at this thing.
Okay.
So let me do that. And is this at disadvantage
It's
or
gonna be a
what?
disadvantage because correct, because it's a shimmer right now. Also, what's up, Damage Dice? I'm glad to hear other Esper Genesis people coming here. You run 2 campaigns a week. Wow, good stuff, man. Welcome. I am a pleasure to have you in with us. So you may do that. It's going to be a disadvantage, as you said.
Okay. Here we go. So we got 14 to hit, or a 13 to hit.
Or a 13 to hit. Very similar. That actually will hit.
Beautiful. Okay, so let me deal my damage for the arm pistol is 1d6 plus 2. So 6 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
And then for the Graviton Strike, next time I hit a creature, powerful gravity field appears at the point of impact, and the target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be restrained. A large or larger creature has advantage on this.
You said the next time this happens?
Yeah, and I cast it as a bonus action before I attacked, so now it applies to this attack.
It applies to this attack.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a large creature.
Okay, so it has advantage on a strength saving throw.
All right. Okay. What's the DC?
13.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to make that. So it breaks free. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is this thing now shimmers into existence as it staggers back from your shot. And all of you that are in this room are now able to see it. And I am happy to show you the art for this thing. So delighted to show you the art.
So delighted to show you your doom.
How many times can you see your actual death provider? No, it's here we go.
Oh,
It is coming up
goodness.
on stream right now.
Okay. On stream. I will
This
load
thing
stream.
out of a nightmare with what look like 4 sort of pointed legs
Dear
that are
God.
down into the ground, and these razor claws shimmers into view, and the thing sort of turns its head, tilts its head with its red eyes, and its claws go, whoosh, and as it does this, you hear nothing. The metal claws are so perfectly apparently configured that there is complete silence as the claws move together. The only thing making any sound at all are the legs as they touch the floor, and that barely. It's like watching a silent, enormous, razor-clawed spider robot that is looking at you. And you'll be happy to know that I have a token for this.
You know, you used happy twice in a row there in ways that I find peculiar.
When you say
okay.
happy, okay.
Oh God. Okay.
It's hell yeah, Animus, sure is. I saw that, I'm like, well, damn. Okay.
I think that's my turn. And what is this? What's this creature's? It's not a monstrosity, is it?
This creature is not a monstrosity, no.
Okay.
In
All right.
fact, it looks vaguely robotic, although it looks more robotic than anything else, the way that it moves and is structured, but it doesn't seem 100% that way. There's something that feels a little bit more natural about its movements, perhaps, than might otherwise be the case, but it definitely is not a monstrosity. There's a lot of metal on this thing.
Okay. All right, that's my turn.
Okay, that is going to lead us here to Sleepwell, and Petra is going to be on deck. Sleepwell, you are looking at something out of a nightmare, as previously mentioned.
So, as a free action, I want to scream.
Okay.
You know, and
That
I hope
is
this
appropriate. You can do that at
it's a
advantage.
Mechanically useful scream, and that Petra will hear a scream and come running. But you
In
know,
space, as you know, Carlos, no one hears you. Okay.
they've restored gravity. You know, we
Yeah,
have
that's
some
true, that's true,
air,
that's true.
Sound waves carry inside the freaking.
So echoing through like the room, these things go. Oh my goodness, Raiders from Little Red Dot. Oh, thank you, Chelsea. Little Red Dot is in my assignment Unpossible spy show that we do once a month on this channel, and she's an awesome streamer. You should go follow. Thank you, Little Red Dot. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Welcome into the Raiders. Welcome everybody to Esper Genesis. You will be seeing Little Red Dot towards the end of this month as she returns with Vivian. I'm really looking forward to that. Thanks so much, Chelsea. Good to see you. I hope everything is well. Cool. Let's do it up. Sleep well. So you have now screamed. That has definitely happened, and we're going to talk about in just a minute what Petra and Spindra are doing because they're up next. But in the meantime, what are you going to do as you are looking at this spider death thing?
So since I have a bit of an engineering background, being an engineer,
Indeed.
I'm trying to assess whether an EMP pulse would do anything here. The way that you described it before made me feel like it's more like, do I see anything organic about it that would make me think that I wouldn't want to use an EMP pulse?
It's a lot less organic than it is mechanical, but you don't know if that means that it's not organic at all. One of the things that's weird is the fact that no matter how well tuned a machine, there is no silent machine. There is no such thing. So the fact that this is silent suggests something beyond the normal mechanical quality.
Right.
The other thing is that it's large. I mean, like, it would have to be a hell of an EMP burst because it's not just shutting down a relatively small drone or something like that.
I think the EMP burst is. I'm so sorry. I don't have my computer with the booklet on it. That computer's kind of on the fritz, so I can't look up EMP pulse. I meant to before I did it, but then I just realized I can't. So, but I think it has a pretty big range if I'm remembering right.
It's not so much the range. It's whether it would encompass all of what the creature could do. I mean, it's worth a try. The issue is more whether or not it's going to be fully mechanical or organic.
Yeah. Okay, so I think, as my main action, I am going to try an EMP burst.
Okay. Just give me a second here.
The battery's down, unfortunately.
Okay. Sorry, I was just I was talking to our friend Johnny. Nice, that's awesome. I'm glad it was an awesome stream, and thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, Little Red Dot. Okay, so where was I? Yeah,
EMP.
so you're gonna do an EMP pulse. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you can do that. So, all right. What's the specific skill, by the way? It's not just EMP pulse, right?
It's a background feature, so it's called the EMP pulse.
That's right.
you know.
Okay.
And I get 1 per short rest, so good thing we had a short rest.
Let me double check and see what we're dealing with, so that I know exactly.
Let me just pull up my authentic Esper Genesis core manual.
Well, oh look, I accidentally turned to the last page where we're all mentioned. Whoops. Okay.
One of the coolest things of 2018.
It really is. Well, actually, when I met Johnny face to face at PAX, and he had his girlfriend with him. So he like pulled up a copy of the book. And he's like, "Oh, look at this!" He like immediately flips to the back and like points at that section. And she's like, "That's you." He's like, "Yes, it is me." It was really fun. It was really fun.
That's awesome.
Okay, so let's see.
I'm so sorry.
There we go, rig expansion. Blah, 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 with less than 3/4 cover. Okay, intelligence saving throw. Lovely, okay. I don't suppose you happen to know the difficulty, the DC that I have to beat, do you?
I mean, I guess it would be my, that combination of like my level and my skill. Like, you've told me this before, but I think it's like, it works up to...
Yeah, 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom. What's your wisdom now?
It's 18, so it's a +4 bonus.
12. Okay, all right.
And the proficiency bonus is 2, I think.
Gotcha. So it'd be 14. So let's see whether it does it. Yeah, it does. So you hit it, and it does kind of stagger back a little bit, like, but it does not sort of falter too much. But you do notice that it impacted it for sure. Whether it impacted it just because it wasn't, your EMP pulse was not sort of well targeted enough to do it, or whether it was because this thing is made of sterner stuff, so to speak, is not clear, but it did have an impact of some kind. So it's got to be at least partly mechanical.
Thank you. So, does it seem like it, now that I can see it, that it's in melee range for me? Like, would I have to disengage it?
No, I would say that you're in melee range at this point. This thing is pretty good reach, so it's frankly in melee range of most of you with the exception of Kaz.
Okay. Then I don't think I want to move. I think that's going to be my turn.
Okay. Alrighty. Then in that case, that is going to lead us to Petra. So now, Petra, what you hear is, you heard Spindra say this thing about Frel, I think we're in trouble. And then you sort of saw the lights go down, and then you heard through the intercom this, basically a very loud scream, which sounded a lot like Sleepwell screaming. And that's what you see. Now, you don't have video camera access or anything like that on this screen, but Spindra basically looks at you, Petra, and is kind of like, this is not a good thing at all. Whatever's going on is not good at all.
Say, which way did the screaming?
Unclear. You got that through the intercom, but it has to be from the front of the ship because that's where you thought. You're pretty sure Sleepwell and the rest of them were up that way, so it's got to be towards the front of the ship somehow.
So I want to go. This is a door right here in front of us.
Right, it's an airlock which is available to be opened. It's not locked.
Okay, so I'm going to go through that.
Okay.
And assess where I am before deciding which way I move.
Okay, so right in front of you, you can see what looks like a large cargo hold. There are a number of these blue crates that you can see that look to be just by sort of quick inspection, seem to have markings like labels on them. And then towards the back are these odd 6 dark sort of black crates, which are by themselves and seem to be unmarked, but those are also a number of feet away, so you would need to actually go down there to look at them. To the left, you can see what would be the front, the bow of the ship, the front of the ship, would be up to the left. There are several doors on the way, but there is one door up here, basically, which would be the frontmost of the doors in this hall. And there is no sign of either Kaz or Aramis or Sleepwell.
I am going to go on the assumption that they're towards the front and move that direction as far as I can.
Okay.
Drawing my hammer as I do so.
I assumed. What is your speed, by the way, Petra?
Speed.
I'm guessing it's 30, but I just want to make sure.
I believe it's 30, unless it is drastically affected by my dex, which I don't think it is.
No.
Then it is.
It is 30. So if you want to basically book it up towards the front, you could get to about here, and next turn you could be up to the door and like through it, basically just to the other side of it.
Okay.
So you can get here on this turn.
I will go there.
Okay.
All right.
Are you like? And I'm just curious. Are you like yelling anything as you go, or are you just like silent ninja runner? Like what is your?
I'm yelling on my way.
Okay. So you actually, I think it's reasonable to say that probably you may hear a little bit of this Sleepwell sort of, this faintest of something about way, but it sounded maybe a little bit like possibly Petra kind of echoing through the halls, since you seem to be very sensitive to sound at the moment. Petra, I also want you to make a perception check for me, please.
Okay. It's a whopping 11.
Okay. Then, so as you were sort of running forward, you notice that the ship itself seems very silent, but something feels off to you. Not just the scream, but the fact that there is such utter lack of movement or even noise anywhere else. It's one of those, this is too quiet. Like, I have a bad feeling about this, sort of Han Solo.
There's like no vibration whatsoever.
Correct.
It's completely dead still.
Correct. So when I made the term dead space, I was doing that advisedly. It really does feel like the air around you itself almost feels deadened. Breathable, but just something's not right here. We will deal with that in a minute. That is going to lead us back up to the top and
before
Aramis.
we do that though, where's the dog?
The dog. Oh, that's right. We forgot about.
You have a dog?
Yeah.
Nobody told me about the dog.
Space poodle.
The space poodle. It's it's actually, the dog is, I believe, Sprocket, and it is actually Spindra's dog, and it is sort of the size of a poodle, but it has one cybernetic leg that it basically uses to walk. So it is not like Fluffy on Pel Tavario, which had the laser eyes. It's not like that. But it is very ill-tempered, to quote Dr. Evil. Sprocket is in the room with you. Sprocket, it's very clear, though, not a combat dog. So you might be able to perhaps figure out ways to give it certain commands to do certain things that a poodle with a mechanical leg could do, but it is definitely...
hack the terminal.
Right, exactly.
Get us out of here!
Sprocket, give it a philosophical question it can't answer. It's not really capable of combat in any meaningful way, especially against a big metallic thing. That said, though, it is there, and you could ask it to do stuff, so you can sort of think creatively about what you want to do with it if you wanted to.
So the other question though is Spindra doing anything?
Spindra basically just told Petra, like, we're in big trouble. Petra bolted out, like, towards you. You do not know what else Spindra is doing. You hear her swearing a lot through the intercom. So that's promising. She's definitely swearing. There's no question about that. Okay, so that is going to lead us to Aramis.
Okay, so For Aramis, I'm thinking either the same Aegis spell or... yeah, there's not much. Would it be... okay. If he were to do... There's the spell Push, that if he manages to land the hit, it deals damage and then it shoves the creature 10 feet away. Now that's a wall right there, so it's obviously not going to like go through the wall. But does he get the feeling that if he cast that push spell and it was pushed against the wall, would that then let him move away from it without getting in an opportunity attack? Maybe.
Let's see. Well, I'm trying
or is
to
it
think
just
about
up to the
room.
cards?
Yeah. Well, no. It's more. I'm trying to think about. Here's what he can do. If he basically moves over here, so if he basically moves like within 5 feet this way, which would not provoke because he's just basically sidestepping, right? And then he pushes it. He could push it backwards. Now the problem is he's pushing it right into you.
Yeah.
But he could do that, and then it would definitely push it away from him. And then it could be like,
God.
if you then turned and comically dove down the shaft behind you, that would be very funny. But no, but like in all seriousness, like that would be the only way to get it. All it would basically do. Now it might do a little more damage if it gets slammed into the back of the wall, but this thing is pretty stable because of the way it's sitting. I mean, like it's got
you're
four,
right.
you know. So.
Okay.
And
Cool.
there's no way to like shove it, like sort of like corner pocket, like shove it out the door toward Petra.
No, because the door itself is closed again. It's an airlock. Remember, it's not. It doesn't just stay open. Now it's not locked, but so yeah.
Okay, interesting. Is there, if he looks up at the ceiling, what does he see?
The ceiling itself is mostly empty. There are a couple of what look like there's some kind of like pipes and tubes that lead from the front room that's currently concealed like through the wall and then all the way into the back. That might be oxygen circulation maybe, or something along those lines. It's not totally clear what that is, but that's basically it. There's no turrets or cameras or anything obvious on the roof of this thing. Yeah.
That's funny because I was thinking of the classic, like, oh, let me shoot something from up there to drop it on it, and then it's like 10 minutes later, we're out of oxygen.
This seemed like a good idea.
Okay, yeah. I think what he'll do, just to be safe, I hope he doesn't die.
So do I.
But the best thing I could do for him is I'm going to cast Aegis again.
Okay.
And...
Is this at will? Is this prime? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a prime talent.
It's just constantly resistance.
It's just like over and over.
Okay.
And then if he's feeling can we hear the sound of Petra storming down in our direction?
No, you heard only one, maybe slight, and it wasn't you actually. You didn't hear it. The only one who heard it was Sleepwell because he's so hyper focused on the scream that he just made. But that was all. You might have. So you would not have heard it anyway. Is the point? Even he only heard a little bit of her, possibly something about way, on my way, coming, something. But that's
okay.
And Damage Dice, you can actually, first of all, thank you for the follow. You can see below that Kat is playing Petrosinis, who is an Ashenforge Sentinel. Aramis, who's Johnny, that's normally Johnny, who's not with us at the moment because of power problems. He is playing an Aramis Mender. Carlos is playing Luducio Sleepwell, who is a Volna Engineer. And then last is Zach, who's playing Kaz, who is a Bolari Hunter. And that is the groups that we have.
So... casting Aegis, and then he will...
Thanks, Tico.
Yeah, he'll just stay put. I'm debating whether or not he should try to goad the thing in the interest that someone comes through the door and it gets like a surprise attack. But I think he'll just play it safe, and he's just going to kind of shield himself, and then he'll just like ready to take whatever hit it's going to take.
Okay. He could, by the way, he could disengage by stepping back 5 feet and then cast that spell. Now, he can't move after that anymore, until next turn, but he would then be out of its melee range for the moment. It could also just step forward and engage him again, but, that's another possibility.
So he could disengage not as an action?
Correct. Well, that's his move action. So if you disengage, that's his move.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, he'll do that then.
Okay, so
So
then
go
you can
back.
back him up whatever, like if you want to go, yeah, I was going to say, into the hole. I mean, he could just, fall down there and see what happens.
How big is that? Actually, how big that
Yeah, it's pretty
that opening
sizable.
is?
Yep,
Okay.
it's pretty
So
sizable.
the creature could probably go down there with
Not
it.
that sizable. Remember, this thing is large, so it's larger than that. I guess if it was upside down and all of its legs were folded up like a dead spider, it could maybe fit through. But as currently constituted, it would probably not fall in there.
Okay. So then I think he was here. I think then he'll take a step there instead.
That is right. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
We can do that.
And that's his turn.
Okay. All right. So the bad guy goes. The deadly spider thing goes. So this time, what it does is it sort of looks around, and it looks at its attention is still sort of focused on Aramis, and it steps forward just about a foot, and then if you take a look at the picture, you will be able to note. I will increase size for a moment. You'll be able to note that the back of it, so it's got these legs all around it, but the back of it has some kind of, not very clearly visible there, what seems like almost like a metallic tail of some kind. And as it sort of moves forward, it suddenly whips around and whips its tail towards Aramis.
Mhm.
So now, because Aramis moved back about 5 feet,
Right.
it moved 5 feet away from me to get to Aramis. Did that provoke an attack of opportunity for me?
No, because you were not, I believe, in melee range. I believe you were just outside of melee range. But correct me if I'm wrong about that. I think you were not.
No, I was in melee range, I think.
Well, I think the thing is that it could have hit you in its melee range, but you weren't close enough to hit it. I think
Right.
that's
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
forgive me.
because remember, it's bigger than you. It has bigger reach, so that's basically what it was. Yeah, so it does not provoke an attack. However, its back, so to speak, is to you at the moment. Now, you're not necessarily a warrior, Sleepwell, that could take advantage of that in the same way they could, but there may be options that you might be able to think about at the moment. But in any case, he whips around and aims to try to attack. So let's see what he's going to do about this. 21 to hit.
No, actually. Yes.
Oddly, that misses. Okay.
Every attack except a 21 will hit.
That would normally do 13 points of damage, but because of the Aegis, which again you intelligently put up, it's only going to take half of it. So now he's down to 6, I believe.
Yeah.
Now, again, that's the good news. Bad news, he's got to make a saving throw again.
All right, here we go. 10.
So he feels, this time it's not cold. As this thing hits him, he feels some burning, acidic liquid kind of enter him, but it seems to mostly just burn on the surface, and he kind of quickly, brushes down and brushes this away before it can enter the wound that was made. But clearly, this thing was attempting to poison him in some way.
Okay, cool.
Which I'm sure you'll be glad to hear. Petra, in front of you, you see a shimmering thing right in front of you. And this shimmering thing seems to literally drop from the ceiling. So you're running down, and then you may remember I asked you to make a perception check. And then the next thing you see is this thing drop down, I should say, or what you do not see. What you do not smell is arcane power. What you do not see is this thing drop in front of you, but there is some disruption in the air. And something strikes out at you. For a moment, you see these very long, sharp, razor-like claws sort of strike out at you. With a 18.
Oh, that will hit.
Okay. So that is going to do... Okay. That's going to do 7 points of damage.
Okay.
And I'm going to need you also to make a Constitution saving throw. Thank you, Jay. Jay has inspired you, Kat, so you now have an inspiration available to use. Thanks, Jay. What?
I am. 17 on my save.
Sorry, I was dealing with my daughter. Okay.
Secret CIA business.
Yeah, secret involving how to turn off a Nintendo Switch. Okay, so, all right. So a 17. Well, right. Okay, that's so you right now. Are you? I should have asked this whether you were going to use the inspiration. Were you were using the inspiration on this con save or not?
No.
Okay. So in
Can
that
I
case,
save the inspiration because I have a moment coming up that I really think will be dramatic that I want to use it on?
okay, you want to use the inspiration for that? Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay. I'm curious though why it's showing 17 because I think. Oh, that was Zach had the con save. Okay, my bad. Never mind. Okay, so 17. Yeah. So you again feel what I described previously about this intense, piercing cold. But again, it may have something to do with your constitution as an Ashenforged. But the warmth of your body overrides it. But it definitely was some deeply metallic, cold kind of attack in addition to just the damage itself. And you now see not the creature yet, but you see a sort of shimmering disruption that is more easy to note than before when you barely just saw a little bit of like a mirage in the air. Now you see something, there is some clear constituent figure in front of you, you just can't really see what that constituent figure is yet. Okay, that now is going to lead us to, but it's blocking your way at the moment. That's going to lead us to Kaz.
Okay.
So Kaz,
did we skip me though? Am I in here somewhere?
you were right after Kaz.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
It goes Kaz and then you and then Petra. This was on the bad guy's turn. This is just the second arrival of another bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, I'm up.
Yes, you're up. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Sleepwell is on deck.
Oh, okay. This is not good. I'm going to. All right, I'm gonna just go for the next trick in my bag of tricks. I'm gonna cast Impact Drive, which the first time I hit with a weapon attack during this power's duration, deals extra damage, and then if it's a creature, it has to make a strength saving throw or fall prone.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take a shot at it now with my arm pistol.
Okay.
And see what happens. So here we go. 19.
Hit.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. So it's going to deal an extra 1d6 force damage on top of the normal damage. So that's 2d6 plus 2. So 11 points of damage.
Wow. Okay.
Some of it's force or piercing. And then it has to make a strength saving throw. No advantage on this one. It just regular saving throw.
Okay. And what did we say your DC was? 13.
13. Not very good.
It just makes that.
Yeah,
just
3
makes
saving throws it's made.
Just makes it. Yeah.
All right. And
well, the other one it
then-
had advantage on. In fairness, this one it didn't. It just happened to just made it.
And then.
Thank you, Jake. Welcome to the Argonauts. Okay, yes. So
How far? I'm 5, 10, 15. Yeah.
you can also see now that there are definitely your shots of impact. You can see some. It doesn't look like sparking, but it seems like some. Like the metal is discolored where you've hit it a couple of times, and you can see that one of its legs is a little more unsteady. Now it has a few to choose from, but it's it's definitely you've done some damage to it.
Okay. I'll back up like right here, and I'll take a quick glance down the shaft of the ladder.
Okay, as you look down the shaft of the ladder, what you see down there is not complete darkness, which you might have expected. There is some shadow, but you can see some light coming from, and I'll try to draw this. It's light coming from this direction, and if you had to guess, it's possible that this is leading to like an underspot of the hold. So basically, like the hold extends if you were like maybe like a kind of a crawl way from the hold underneath this, because it's the same light color, it's the same colored light that is in the hold. It's just not very bright, obviously, here. But you can see some of that just illuminating the bottom of it. So this may be like an extra access point on how to get down to the hold.
Okay. Last thing I'll do on my turn is kind of shout to everyone, we might have to get out of here. And I point down to the ladder, and he hasn't stepped onto it yet, but he's like right next to it, just kind of gauging the situation.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's my turn.
Okay. That is going to, let's see, lead this to, that is going to lead us to Sleepwell, and Petra will be on deck next. Sleepwell, what do you want to do? You've seen that this thing can, if it can bleed, it can be killed. You've seen this thing can be hit.
Yeah, but Sleepwell is not a fighter. He's much more of a cleaner of self and a napper. So I think what he's going to do is... Okay, so tell me if this sounds like a thing I can do. Basically, if I take my move action and then also turn my attack into a move action, if I can basically do 2 move actions, I think I can do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can essentially charge it, is what you're talking about. Which is
a little bit, but what I'm thinking is a little different. So right now I'm in melee range. Is that correct?
You are at the moment in. You're just out of melee range because it moved out of you're not. It's again. You're not in it. You're in its melee range. It's not in yours yet. But you're within.
If I move toward it, I don't provoke an attack.
No, not at all. No, if you move towards it, you're fine.
Right. So here's what I'm thinking. Basically, through the combination of both of my move actions, I grab Aramis for 1 move action. Basically, I go here, pick up Aramis, and then use my second one to disengage and go down the hole.
Well, if you go that way, yeah, you're not going to be able to pick him up and disengage. You can pick him up, but the minute you see when you grab him, that will provoke an attack, especially if you go that direction. If you go around the other direction, like this way, you could pick him up. What you will end up doing is provoking an attack on him, because he will basically be in the way. So this thing, and by the way, this thing doesn't have to may choose not to take it. It may just be like, I don't know, maybe its algorithm will not see you as a threat or something. But it could choose to take an attack of opportunity. If you go this way, the way you just went, it could attack you as you try to jump down the hole. If you go this way, it could attack him as you try to jump down the hole.
So let's try that. I'm going to try to go around here, grab him, take us both down the hole.
Okay.
And Sleepo, just so you know, he still has his resistance is still
yeah, he does.
From the
Yeah, he does.
Well, you know.
Although he's at 5
you
health,
hold
so
him up in front of you like
be...
you hold him up in front of you just like
Or
you know
6 health,
like
yeah.
a shield, just like you said it's an
then,
Aegis,
like,
Jesus.
You're like, oh, don't worry, I'll heal you.
Yeah, I'll heal him later. Like I can.
Yeah.
Let's go, Aegis Forged. You just grab him and like move it. Okay, so you're gonna jump down the hole. All right. So we're gonna see what happens. It is indeed going to swipe silently at him as you prepare to leap into this hole. Let's see. That is going to be 17.
Oh yeah.
All right. So. Where's my dice roller? Okay, that's 10 points of damage, but it's resisted down to 5.
Yes,
so
he's still up.
Just barely. Okay. So,
although I know he probably has a saving throw coming.
Well, yeah, because the good actually, well, he's gonna have another one too. Yes, he does. Yes, that's true. On that one, he does have a saving throw. So, so yes, make a saving throw, please.
All right. 17.
Yeah, no problem. He's he feels the same experience, the cold, but then it vanishes. All right, now Sleepwell, you all leap down the hole. Now the good news is, you leap down the hole with him. By the way, since you're playing Aramis, Kaz, would Aramis allow himself to be grabbed? I'm guessing so, but I wanted to see whether technically he could resist it. Okay.
Me as a player is worried about Petra, but we'll see, because our characters wouldn't know anyway.
Wouldn't know yet.
Another one spawned out there, so.
Okay, so you're able to leap down this thing. Now the good news is you're leaping down the hole. The bad news is this is a little bit of a distance, Sleepwell. And while you may land on your feet due to certain, species proclivities, the same cannot necessarily be said for Aramis. So basically, as you're falling, what you're going to have the chance to do is you can try to basically use your acrobatic ability to try to land first and basically cushion the blow. So, land and then take his weight on top of you so as to keep him from taking a lot of damage, or not. If not, and if you make your acrobatics throw, then you'll be fine. He may not be fine. He's going to have to make a saving throw also. So the question is, what do you want him to just kind of every man for himself, or Ashenforge for himself in this case, or are you going to try to cushion the blow or not?
First, do no harm. I am going to try to cushion the blow.
Okay. So in that case, what I need you to do is to make an acrobatics check here, please. And what I'm going to ask you to do is this is going to be at -2 because you're going to be trying to do this while imbalanced and hurtling down a shaft with a ladder behind you.
And so that's a straight roll for me because I have a +2 on my acrobatics.
Okay,
So
there you go then.
here we go. It's a 9.
Okay, so the 9 means that you don't like face plant, so that's the good news, but it's not quite the way that you would have hoped. You do, let's see. Okay. So he is going to take, normally he would have taken 3 points of damage. You will cushion that so that you actually take that damage instead. So you will be down to 18. He looks very hurt, Aramis, but he is still conscious and breathing. And you are now on the first floor. And indeed, as you look over, you can see the hold, like basically about 30 feet away. You can see the first of these blue crates here. That's kind of, there's this crawlway basically that you're in. And almost immediately you would have to like basically duck down into a crawl, but then you could easily crawl out into what looks like the hold area down here. Also, now that you're down here, you hear the sound of what sounds like fighting coming not from the room you just were, but from the hold itself.
Oh! So, as a free action, I'm going to scream.
Okay. Petra, you hear a Sleepwellian scream from somewhere below you.
Very
That's an
well.
interesting phrase.
A Sleepwellian, Orwellian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly. I
Orwellian,
want
but
that. I want that copyright immediately. The
That's
screams of Petra.
Sleepwellians.
No, it's not
A
Petra.
shirt that says-
No.
Petra has not screamed yet. It's the screams of Sleepwell. That's
Yeah.
actually a great story title. Oh my God.
Or that's a
Screams of
band name.
Sleepwell. Yeah, that's true. That's
Sleepwellian
true.
An album, right?
The Sleepwellian screams, exactly. They were awesome before they sold out. All right. Good. The Petrians.
Before they went down the chute.
Before they went down the chute. Okay, so you're now down there. So you took him, grabbed him, went down. Okay, I think that's all you can do unless you have a heal as a free action or something. But I think
No, I don't.
Okay, so that means Petra, you are up. Now, you have this shimmering thing in front of you that is definitely blocking your way. You just heard the scream, which is, down below you somewhere in the hold. You can't even see where. You got a bunch of things to decide. What do you want to do?
So I'm going to use my inspiration, but I'm going to use one of my powers,
Okay.
which is the Scorching Strike, a rank 1 forging technique.
I dig it.
What it does is the next time you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack during this power's duration, the weapon erupts with a fiery explosion, dealing an extra 1d6 fire damage to the target and causes the target to burst into flames.
Okay, everything about that's great.
Yeah.
At the start of each of its turns until the effect ends, the target must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, it takes 1d6 fire damage.
I repeat,
successful save,
literally
the
everything
effect
is great about that.
Okay. Then-
Awesome.
So, roll the d20.
Yes, and you're going to be doing this at inspiration, you said, so you're going to do this at
Yes.
advantage. I very much
So-
want this to hit.
So I want to roll twice, and I pick the higher.
That's right. And you're going to be adding your, your typical melee bonuses.
Yes. Well, it's
Let's
a good
not
thing.
take that.
Let's not take.
Hey,
Oh!
that's why we do advantage. Thank you,
That's how we get
J-Ram.
inspiration. There you go.
You just saved it.
Yeah, that would have been really.
That was a very good.
Okay,
Wow.
you slam the hell into this thing.
Oh, goodness.
So you slam the hell into this thing, all right. The other thing I have to say, by the way, is that You were only doing this. Technically, I should say that should be at a -2, so you still hit it. You would normally have been at disadvantage if it was the turn previous, but because this thing had already struck you, it was now easier to see, and it was only a minus instead of a disadvantage. So all of that worked, plus J-Rab, did a awesome job there. So good stuff. You have hit it. So now the Scorching Strike. So go ahead and roll your damage, and then you're going to roll an additional 1d6 for the fire damage. And then this thing is going to be on fire. This spider's on fire.
The newest album by Sleep William Scream.
Wow. That's nice. Okay, so 10 total damage, 100 saved from the grave. That is right. Okay.
And then Petra, there's probably also some your strength modifier probably also goes in that too.
But that's right. I do have a 16 strength.
Definitely.
So +3.
So +3, so it's 13. And I'm going to scream out as I would not scream. I'm going to roar because that's a more Petra sort of thing. On my way. Bam!
Okay, so you slam this thing, it staggers back, it bursts into flames, and now you can see what I have already previously described, this thing out of a nightmare, except you'll be happy to know, it's a thing out of a nightmare which is now flaming on top of it. So it's just this so picture the picture, but with fire, all right? And that's basically what you're looking at. This thing is you said hello to it very strongly. I think it's fair to say. Now, it's still blocking your path, although it has staggered back a little bit. I assume you're going to stay engaged with it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, I figured as much. Good stuff, Kat. That was all good. Okay, Aramis is up next. Aramis, what is Aramis going to do? Now, he's currently very hurt at the bottom of this ladder.
Yep.
Yeah. What I'm hoping is that maybe he'll think to delay his action before I can do my action, which is to heal him. But I don't know if I can say that. Chill for a second.
You can always, look, you can absolutely say that free on your turn.
That's funny.
Just say chill for a minute, and then he can
crash
react
down at the bottom of a ladder, and he's like, oh, and you're just like, chill for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second, dude. What's my Sweet William magic?
So, okay, so how far did we fall? How many feet?
Okay,
yeah, I don't know.
it was about 10 feet.
Oh, okay.
This is science fiction. We should probably be using metric system.
It was about 30, 3.5 meters.
3.3 meters.
3.3 meters. That's not too bad. All right, that's not too bad. That's after 46 years in the imperial system. I'll have
Yeah,
you know.
you just forgot the decimal point.
Yeah, well, okay. Also, I have just had sent fresh off the presses, brand new art that is reflective of the Kanasi.
I need to see this.
Thank you, by the way, Brian. There's Brian. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God, this thing. Wow. All right, I love it. I'm sure you'll love it too.
Can Armis see it if he looks up? Is it any portion of it visible through the hole? I know you're multitasking right now.
Yeah, no, the answer is no. Not where it is right now. Not yet. I mean, maybe on its turn, if it moves forward, you don't know what it's going to do yet.
Okay.
But not yet.
Okay. Let me see what he would do then.
Okay, why is it?
Okay.
I think it's a free action. He would take a drink.
Yeah. Well, let me see other things. I'm just trying to make sure. Resistant to poison. Okay. Energy shield. I should have known that, but it's okay. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Wait, I'm dumb.
Okay.
Wait, I want to show this thing, so just give me a second.
Yeah, I'll wait until you're done with this.
Yes, no, I meant it when I said I wanted you to download. I really I promise. I really did want it to be downloaded. What? Do you not want to? I don't understand. Download the file. What is the problem?
This file is horrifying. This file may harm your computer.
Yeah, like it really, you know. Swear to God. Gmail's like, no, do you see what this thing is? I can't let you download this. Like this is madness. This is for your own good, man. Basically, my computer just slaps me and is like, "Come with me if you want to live." I promise. I really, really want to.
Throws you down a ladder.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Okay. I basically just had to override it and be like, "Fine, Outlook will allow me to do it because Outlook respects me as a person." Okay. Now I got it. All right. All right. Here we go.
Outlook treats me better in the relationship.
Here we go. This is what it looks like. You can see it on stream now, and it's pretty close.
Oh my God!
But you could see, like, so it's got, and it now notice that it actually is it's rearing back, but it can also just be down on all fours, which is the way it's been dealing with you. But you can also see that tail that it's got on its back that it can like swing around. But this thing is just like knives everywhere. Like it just looks like razors everywhere. So yeah. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Brian, by the way. Okay. So, with that lovely thing sort of in your mind. Sorry, Kaz, back to you.
Mm-hmm. So, Aramis, on this floor, what, is he basically on the same level as where these crates are?
Yes, but he's going to have to get down and crawl through a small area of about 5 to maybe a little over 5 feet to get to a spot where he could stand up again. You see this area right here? That's basically a crawlway space where he has to go through on all fours, and then he can stand up again here.
Oh, okay. All right. I think he will heed Sleepwell's advice and just kind of chill for a moment. If anything, he's gonna hold. Yeah, here's what he's gonna do. He's gonna hold a force bolt, so that if he sees the creature from the opening of the ladder, then he's gonna let go
just
of a shot.
Fire directly up. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And that's
okay.
it.
Let's see. Now, before the next thing happens, you hear sort of crackling through the intercom, Spindra saying, "Will someone tell me what's going on up there, Frelit? What is going on?"
Do we have to wait for our turn, or can we?
Nope. You can be reacting and yelling can be done on someone else's turn.
So Sleepwell chimes in with, "Ah!"
She says, "Not specific enough."
Kaz says, "There are creatures here. It's a bad situation.
What creatures?
Like metallic robot things."
And she says, they don't have blades for hands, do they?"
Yes.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yes,
and
they
they're partially
do.
invisible.
Okay. She doesn't say anything else. And with that, the bad guys go. First one, so these guys, I'm actually going to place you both just over in this so I'm aware of where that is. So this thing does not go over to the hold. It turns towards the one remaining creature that it sees.
Yay.
And it comes towards you. It closes the gap at great speed and closes within range of you and then lashes out at you. And you notice that when it sort of tilts its head, Kaz, almost as if it's trying to size you up, like it doesn't 100% recognize or know. I mean, it's so mechanical that it's sort of hard for you to be like, oh yeah, obviously it's doing this. But there's something weird about it in terms of the way that it's reacting to you. Nonetheless, that doesn't seem to stop it from attempting to hit you and probably doing so with a 23.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. These guys are kind of nasty.
I use my reaction to say, "I am not the droid you're looking for."
Move along. And it's like, I am not weak-minded. Okay. It does 14 points of damage to you.
Beautiful.
That is slashing damage. I don't know if you're resistant to that at
No.
all.
Nope.
Nope. I just take all of it.
Yep.
Okay. So it does that to you, and I need you to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Okie dokie.
Oh, the Wilhelm scream. Wah!
21.
Okay. Again, you feel this coldness sort of inside you, but your natural energy sort of overflows this coldness. But this thing is... There's no wonder that you didn't get a heat signature from it. I mean, this thing looks like you're dealing with the coldest metal or steel of a ship's hull floating through space. That's what this is. There is no energy or life or heart in this thing. Just something animating it. Okay, so it's now on top of you. Meanwhile, Petra, you'll be happy to know that the one fighting you is still on fire. Now, this thing that's on fire, you said at every turn... can you describe for me again what you said the thing does? So every turn it's going...
At the start of each of its turns until the effect ends, the target must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, it takes 1d6 fire damage, and its duration is up to a minute.
Okay, well, it failed the hell out of that first one. So...
1d6.
Okay. And it takes damage, so you see more fire kind of running up and down its metallic body. And it spins around and lashes at you with its tail. But that's not going to hit. I don't think a 9 is not going to get the job done. Correct? That's not going to hit you. So you managed to dodge out of the way just in time. And the thing, again, it's almost totally silent. And when it reared up and attacked you with its claws, it was up on 2, but when it lashes out with its tail, it's down on 4. So it's like varying between looking more like a scorpion or a spider and then rearing up and looking more like it's some kind of bizarre humanoid mutated robot, essentially, which I'm sure is going to be helpful for everyone's dreams tonight. Kaz is up next and Sleepwell is on deck.
Okay, so it's right up on me. I am going to see what I can do. I could... Ooh. Okay. I'm just not in the mood to contend with something that just did half my health and damage. So I'm going to take the... Can I take the disengage action?
Sure, yes.
And then I'm going to just nope down into the ladder. I'm just gonna still climbing down if I could, but
okay, now are you... I was gonna say that, yeah, very important. So you're not jumping. Are you sliding down? Because if you do a double move, actually, you can disengage with one move and then climb down with the second. So if you're just moving, you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
So you do that, and you actually see now across the way Sleepwell and Aramis looking at the crawlway. And again, you see there is indeed a crawlway here, and you see the crate. So you were... What you thought you saw is correct, apparently. And you're now down below this thing.
All right. And... Oh, can I... I should have Hunter's marked it. If I still had the opportunity to, I would.
I can't let that happen now.
All right, sounds good.
But you can, I mean, like, if you want to wait and see it, then you can be like, Hunter's mark, and then like back out, you know, like if it comes over, like it may come looking for you. You don't.
Can I hold a Hunter's mark?
You can't because a Hunter's mark. It's not a free action, right?
Yeah, it's a bonus action.
It's a bonus action. I don't think you can really hold a bonus action. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. But if it is a bonus action, again, if you see it, you might. I mean, you'll have to see what it does, basically. So
yeah,
you'll
but I'd have to wait until my turn anyway.
And I feels more natural to me that you'd be like nope and not like Hunter's mark and then nope. I mean, like you know, I'm gonna mark you. Yeah. I'll be back, and then okay.
Yeah. So I'm good.
Sleepwell is up. Petra is on deck. Sleepwell, what do you want to do?
So tell me again, like what I see. You said there was a crawl space.
That's the spot that you see here. It's a crawl space that is basically about, I don't know, maybe 3 feet, you know, high. That you would need to, or 1 meter. So you would need to be able to go on all fours, basically, to get through this small area, which is maybe 6 or 7 feet. Then once you get onto this side, you could stand up again, and then you would be on the ground floor of this hold, right where the crates are located.
So in this area here, I always forget. See, press and hold, right? So like in this area here, this is like solid wall.
No, you can actually see it's just a space below.
Okay.
And you can actually see Kaz on the other side. There is another ladder that descends on the other side, sort of equidistant from you on the other side of the room.
Right.
But there's nothing in the room itself.
There's no door there.
No, there's no door there. That's on the higher level.
That's on the other level. Okay. So what I'd like to do is carry Aramis more towards the middle of the room, just kind of like drag him there a little bit, and then heal him.
Okay, that sounds good. Man, another host. Thank you, Cairo. Another person you will be seeing very soon on my Curses Trod campaign tomorrow. Thanks, Cairo. Appreciate it, dude. Good to see you, man. Okay, so yes, you can certainly do that, assuming Aramis allows himself to be dragged. You can do that, and you're going to put him like here, you said?
Yes, exactly. So just like away from holes and basically this any line of sight that I can see, I'm trying to remove him from those.
Okay. Good to see you, Cairo. Thanks, dude. All right, yeah, go ahead and make your heal then.
Okay, so
you see and hear nothing except Kaz.
So I healed him for 10?
All right.
All right, I'll mark that.
That was my mend, by the way.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So he's back at 11.
You probably have a little bit of movement left if you wanted to do anything else with your movement. You could probably go another, since you were dragging him, it won't be quite as much, but you could go another 6 or 7 feet if you wanted to.
Would 6 or 7 feet allow me to peer through the crawl space and kind of like just take a look to see what's going on where I'd heard the fighting?
I would say that it would allow you to see like this area, but not also up. Like you would need to, like you could get here, and then you'd be able to see here, but they're on a higher level than that, so you wouldn't be able to actually see them. You'd be sort of seeing.
I'm gonna still put myself in that position and just try to listen well to see if I hear.
Okay, that sounds fine. Just move your token roughly at that spot. Yeah. Just put your token there and see. You do hear what sounds like crackling flames, which seems odd, but you definitely you think that's a fire.
Oh, so I just sort of say, "Oh, that Petra at it again."
Okay, that is going to lead us to Petra, and then Aramis is going to be on deck. Petra, you've badly hurt this creature, but it is still standing, and still on fire.
So I have no reason to believe that this thing is intelligent, right? It is just sort of like a...
That's not clear. It is tilting its head. At the moment, it's tilting its head because it's on fire. But it actually does not... It's not just sort of attacking... Sort of... I don't know how to describe this. It's not attacking kind of willlessly. When it jumped on you, you were ambushed. And it's possible that was just because it has a really, really good algorithm, but it had to adjust to your presence. It may only have a rudimentary intelligence, but I don't know that you could definitely say that it's not intelligent yet. You don't know.
I'm going to try a power that I haven't tried before.
All right.
Because I think it would be fun if it works.
Destroy spider metal thing.
So basically, Petra raises herself up with her hammer and shouts out a command, and I will read you the description of the command power.
All right.
You speak a one-word command to a creature you can see within range. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or follow the command on its next turn. The talent has no effect if the target is an automaton or construct, if it doesn't understand your language, or if your command is directly harmful for it.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It includes some typical commands, and I was going to shout fall, in which the target falls prone and then ends its turn.
This is a good idea. However, if you had to guess, this thing looks a lot like an automaton to you. Now, it's not sure, but it looks very robotic. Not 100% because of the weird way that it's moving, but it does not. It looks pretty. like you're dealing with an automaton. Yeah.
And I'm gonna just smash it.
But it might still be intelligent, but still an automaton.
Well, even so.
Yeah, that's a good idea, though. Under normal circumstances, that would be very smart.
So I will apologize. My computer is again doing the thing where it does not like switching windows.
That's okay. So far, so good.
At some point, this will actually go through.
Anticipation.
I hate to do. I'm very sorry. It's.
That's okay. It's no problem. This is just an example of when the Alligator Alley people make their fortune. You know, laptops for their Esper Genesis players could be. Next thing I get is an email from Brian. Just so you know, we're not publishing your book, and what the hell? And
Greg.
Yes, you owe us one.
you have pushed too far. Chosen.
So frustratingly, I managed to type the line, but with a typo in the beginning, but it now will not let me.
So it went through and then didn't go through.
It's got a double slash, and I'm so reluctant to hit. Come on, you son of a bitch.
Bastard.
Greg, I'm in roll for me because this is ridiculous. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
And I will try and figure out what's going on. It's a D20 plus 3.
Okay, well let me have Carlos do that then, so that I don't have to spend,
Carlos,
don't have to create bad karma by having the DM.
that sounds totally good.
Yeah, next year's budget, nice, Brian. See, that's what I'm talking
Look
about.
at that, a 17.
Hey, that's exactly what you meant to roll all the time. Okay, that is a hit for sure.
So that will be a D8. And I don't think that there is additional flame damage this time because it's already on fire.
But you have plus 3
You
because
do
of
have
your
strength damage
right?
though on your
I do have
damage,
plus 3.
for sure.
Mhm.
So crappy roll there. 4 more.
Okay, so 4. All right. Okay, it takes that and does not like it. All right. Definitely looking hurt, as I mentioned. Okay, and then you're staying with it. I assume.
I'm trying to barrel it over as I push forward. Can I do that?
Describe that to me, though. You mean like literally run over it?
I am in large, hefty, ashen forge, and I'm pushing forward with my swing and just whacking into it.
So, are you trying to? The reason I'm asking is, are you trying to basically like get over it and keep going, or are you trying to literally overbear it?
To knock it down.
Okay. That is going to be okay. So first of all, you won't be able to do that after a normal melee attack. So we'll have to talk about the sort of function of doing that next turn. And you can definitely try. That's going to be rough. That is taking down a very large thing that is basically on all fours at the moment. However, I'm not going to say it's impossible. So we'll talk about how you could do that next turn. This turn, however, is just going to be a basic garden variety. You hit it for damage that hurt it thing. Okay. So that's going to lead us to Aramis. Aramis, what do you want to do now that you're feeling hale and hearty?
Okay, so can he have we already made it through the crawl space, or does he have to crawl through to get to these crates here?
He would have to crawl through, and he could do that 5, 10. He could get there. Normally he'd have more movement, but crawling will slow him down a little bit, but he could get here and be standing by the end of a single move.
Okay. He'll do that.
Okay. Once he's there and looks up, you can see Petra is fighting another one of these creatures, or at least you think it's a different one, but this one is on fire.
Okay. I'm pretty sure he's going to give a hearty force bolt of some sort in the direction of that thing.
Okay. So
I will roll for that. I don't know if I can get it to roll somehow. Let me see. Okay, I think I'll just roll manually.
You should be able to, because there's.
Do you know how to? I'm not sure how to trigger it.
Let me see.
As an attack.
So. Yeah, if you go to. Where the hell's that spell? No. Spells. There we go. All right, what were you clicking on to?
In his prepared spells, and just I clicked on the name of the prime talent itself.
I see.
I can just do a manual roll if you want.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
All right.
So that means you're going to be doing a range thing, which is +5 because of his.
Yep.
Okay.
So 14 to hit.
Yep, that hits.
Awesome. Okay, so that's going to be a D10 of force damage.
Does it add his proficiency bonus?
Let me check. It doesn't say
Not
to,
to-
but
not
maybe
to
it has
damage,
sort
it
of
would-
class something.
Well, right, I guess that's true, but I don't think a mender would do that. It would
Yeah.
it would mention within the spell description, but I don't
Yep.
believe so.
So it's 3 force damage.
Okay, so that
to the-
that definitely impacts it. The creature sort of like, kind of weirdly pivots like its head to the left to sort of see what the hell just happened. And Petra, you see that Aramis is down there, having just fired up something.
And then Aramis is going to shout as loud as he can, "There's another one out here. Petra's fighting it."
Okay, I noticed that we're gonna have to get Cat back because I think Cat just
Oh.
disconnected.
Yeah.
So I know the cameras are messed up. Hang with me, chat. We'll get them back. Okay. So good stuff. Now the bad guys go. So let's see. All right. Kaz, you're gonna be happy to know that this thing actually does peer over the thing at you. So you're not going to be able to do anything yet, but it's definitely looking down at you. And you can see that it's sort of trying to make a decision about whether it wants to try to get down to you or not.
Yeah.
But it's not going to do anything yet. It's just like looking down at you.
Okay.
The other one, which is on fire, let's see if it makes its con save. It sure does not. So it is going to take another. Okay. Boy, she really messed this thing up. Okay, this thing is looking in very poor shape now, as it continues to burn and be hit by 2 creatures at once. So this is looking messed up. But it is still going to try to stride forward and attack Petra, and is going to miss again with a 9. Boy, this one has been absolutely useless against Petra. Its entire existence has been, why did I not attack Aramis? That was going so much better when my bro was doing that. Okay, Kaz is up. Sleepwell is going to be on deck, and hopefully we'll get Cat back in just a second. Kaz, we want to.
I can see it looking up now.
Yes, you can absolutely.
All right,
So you can
I
use Mark
will.
English.
I will Hunter's Mark it. And I'm only 10 feet down though from it.
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, yeah, so I'll use my bonus action to Hunter's Mark it, and then I'm going to I need to keep track of my arm pistol ammunition here, because Bellare just don't make bullets. So I'm keeping track of that as well.
You need to think about that, really, about why you don't.
Yeah.
There we go.
And
Welcome back, Cat.
I'm going to
Second one.
take a shot straight up at the thing.
Okay.
So-
Give me just 1 second while I get the camera fixed. Okay.
Okay.
Everyone's back where they should be. Lovely. Okay. Welcome back, Cat. And yeah, go ahead and do that, Zach.
All right. 13 to hit.
Yeah, that hits straight up at its head, like.
All right.
Okay.
You know.
So I think that gives Hunter's Mark gives me an extra D6. Let me triple check there. Extra 1d6 damage. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Alright.
So I'm gonna be doing.
Wow.
Perfect damage. 14
Holy
points of
crap.
piercing damage.
Okay, good God. You like shoot right through its head. Just, like its neck snaps back. Now it's not dead, but you have really hurt it. It staggers back from from the thing. You see like an arm flailing. It's now out of your sight, but definitely you gave it what for? Is what happened right there. Are you gonna move, or are you gonna, because you could technically still move. Are you going to do what the manly thing climb the ladder.
I
and
was
blow this
literally
thing away.
just thinking that. I was just thinking that.
I just had this
And the
image of you being like
well, the
vaulting.
question I was gonna ask you was, I like how you said that. Are you gonna do the thing?
The Bellari thing.
Would Kaz have heard Aramis saying that Petra's out here fighting?
Oh yeah.
another-
Yep, you're on the
Okay.
same level, and yeah, he wasn't keeping it to himself.
Okay. Sure. Maybe he feels a little bit more self-assured at being in this ladder, so he's not gonna just climb all the way up, but he's gonna go about halfway, I would say, up the ladder, and yeah, he's gonna start going up the ladder, but not all the way yet. Hopefully, I don't want to go up the ladder to a range where I feel like one of its arms could like go into the hole and strike him. So if that means I can only go up like 1 or 2 rungs.
I was gonna say you're about maybe slightly below midway then. If you're
Okay. Yeah, he's still not trying to die, but he's gonna go up the ladder as far as he can.
I think you only get like 4 out of 10 Rambo points for that.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're just a raw.
is
That's
that
what
is
you
that
are.
a is that
That's
a
how-
challenge?
Yeah.
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 You know, we had the choppy there, so.
Yeah,
Um,
he's still gonna be careful, but he's gonna be going up, not through.
Okay. Sounds good. Sleepwell, you were up. Petra's on deck. What do you want to do, Sleepwell?
So, concerned for Aramis's health, and I guess Petra's too, I'm going to go ahead and go through the crawl space.
Okay.
And use my light pistol to take a shot at that knifey thing.
Yep. Which is on fire and pretty badly
Right.
hurt.
The fiery knifey thing. So here we go. Just looking at my dex bonus. It's not that. There it is. Rolled an 11.
Not quite. Like just over its one of its arms, and so it kind of again looks down like you like sort of like why is everything just shoot like what is the pat shots coming from like down below,
Right.
And so yeah, but unfortunately does not hit. You still probably let's see, you were crawl space. You could maybe move 5 more feet if you wanted, Sleepwell.
Yeah, I'm gonna position myself behind the nearest crate then, if that's all right.
Okay, yeah, then you could be like right there, like right near the edge if you want.
Right.
I assume you meant that side.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Petra, you were up. Aramis is on deck. This thing is badly hurt in front of you and is still on fire.
So I'm going to smash it once again.
Okay. Let's smash that thing yet again.
Oh, my computer's typing perfectly now. With a mighty 11.
11 is not quite going to do it, unfortunately. This thing is kind of flailing around, and you don't quite hit it as the flame. You're trying to stay out of the way of being hit by the flames, and so unfortunately, not so much. It's still kind of in position, but you can see that it's continuing to burn.
It's still on fire.
Still
Life
on
is
fire.
good.
Also, your compatriots, at least 2 of them now, are below you that you can see in the hold.
Petra, that +3 is from your strength, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you proficient with hammers?
I
'Cause
don't
if
know, and because I rebooted, I don't have my character sheet open at the moment. Let me
You're
take a look.
probably proficient with hammers, I would
Because if she's proficient with hammers, she might have an additional +2 from the proficiency.
Oh, because you only rolled the... Yeah, that's right. That's
Okay.
probably true. So that would be a 13, and that would hit.
Just trying to milk damage.
Quite
that's
right.
all.
I totally appreciate this.
No,
Zach.
I mean, listen.
Yes.
I approve of getting the numbers right. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, your total attack on hammer, I just opened your character sheet, is +5.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so that's right. So, yeah,
Okay,
you would hit them.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
So you
Yay,
hit. So
thank
now,
you.
so damage this damn thing.
Okay, so that is.
Brain on cast.
Just trying to help.
7.
Yep. You slam this thing, and as you hit it, it goes flying back into the wall with a bang. The first time you've heard it make any noise at all because it was impacting something else. Hits the ground into a flaming mess and does not move.
I roar out victory.
Yep, that
Beautiful.
shakes the ship. And as the ship is just like, ah. One thing you notice, by the way, is that the minute that happens, the thing that I mentioned about being kind of like the dead space thing that I talked about before, that effect disappears. Like you feel like you're now actually dealing with normal space around you again once you destroyed that thing. So something relating to that. And you, in fact, you not only do you feel that, you feel like there is something like the ship seems to be rumbling for some reason. Like something about the ship is kind of not like shaking it wildly, but there's something like zzz, like there's something kind of moving it or shifting it or yes, vibrating it basically, but it doesn't seem to be an engine. Okay, that is going to bring us to let's see, that is going to bring us to Aramis. Oh, actually, you had, no, I take that back. You have a move now because you took him out, Petra, so you could actually move. Where do you want to go? And if you're talking, you might be muted, Kat.
Sorry, it says that I am unmuted now.
Now you're unmuted. Yeah, I hear you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you now.
Right, I want to move through this door in the front here, where it looks like everybody else came through.
This one right here, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you can do that. And you may not be happy to know, when you get through the door, so go ahead and move your yeah. The minute you get through the door, you see the back of one of these things like you just fought, but it seems to be sort of kind of almost like woozy is not maybe the right way to put it, but it's not looking at you. It's sort of staring in the direction of this hole, basically, where there's a ladder extending out of it. So you can't do anything yet about that, but like that's
Okay.
it sort of is like this, and it's definitely like the thing you just fought, except also damaged, but definitely not on fire.
Okay.
Aramis, as you are prepared to do whatever it is that you're going to do, you hear this very distinct and something bangs into the side of the ship, or maybe more properly releases from the ship.
What? Does only Aramis hears this? Or feels it?
I would say that everybody hears it, but I would say Aramis is the only one who can react to it, at least immediately. Because it's his turn. Because it's his turn. But everybody, I think, feels that. Definitely all of you who... Yeah, no, I think everybody feels that. I was about to say that maybe the ones just in the hold, but no, everybody feels it.
Would it be possible to tell from where this disconnection feeling might be originating?
Not really, no. It's from somewhere, but it's not, no. It's not clear as what direction.
Okay. So maybe Aramis kind of goes over the communicator to Spindra and says, Spindra, all right, is the Placostomus still attached to this ship?
Silence.
And he puts his communicator down. Okay. I think he would look down the length of this cargo hold and see if he notices any other robots or shimmering things that are trying to kill him.
He does not see any such thing.
Okay.
Well, actually, wait. Because you were midway.
What?
So this is I was going to say, no, you do not see any such thing at the moment.
Okay. All right. He's gonna go up and make sure Petra and Kaz are okay. As long as Sleepwell looks okay.
Yeah, I mean, Sleepwell, other than... Sleepwell seems to be very pleased.
Screaming a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, Sleepwell can tell me how he's feeling, but he certainly looks fine.
No, well, he got impacted by an Ashen Forge landing on him, so he's not that fine.
He's not as fine as he would have been otherwise.
He just kind of gives a nod to Sleepwell, and then I think he's going to go up this ladder and then try to go meet up with Petra. So I don't know how much movement that's going to take. But
let's see. So 5, 15, 20. You could actually just get into 5, 10. You could just get into here, actually.
Okay, he does so.
Okay. So when you get in, you actually can now see the same one you were fighting, but it's looking pretty damn hurt. But its back is to you at the moment, and you can see
Okay.
Petra is in there with you.
And he still has an action, I think.
Yep, sure does.
Cool. He's gonna either. There's a whole bunch of his spells here that I don't remember him using any in the last session, although like he doesn't have his slots filled in, so I don't know how many slots he has, and he hasn't been. Because I don't remember him using spells like Lightning Whip or.
He has used Lightning Whip before.
He has?
Yeah, he has. I think he was not as successful with it as he wanted to be.
Yeah.
But he has
All right.
before.
I'm just gonna stick to Force Bolt then, because that's what I know will work.
And you'll have to sneak him out. Like you can, you're like you can get him like there, like just enough to get around the other side of Petra, basically.
Okay. Let me check one thing here. Yeah, okay, I can't do that. All right, so yeah, he's going to do Force Bolt, so that's going to be
away.
the D20 plus 5. So that's a 15 to hit.
That's a hit.
All right, that's going to be just a good old 1 point of damage.
Well, so it's a glancing blow, and the creature like staggers around like this and is now facing you. So just enough to irritate it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Only partly true, because it does actually stagger towards you, and it whips out its tail at you, Petra, because you're in front. And it's going to whip out its tail at you. Oh boy. That's going to be a 23 to hit.
Well, it does hit, strangely enough.
Just barely annihilates my
Barely.
eyebrows. Okay, and that is going to do... Okay, that's worked out, though. Only 6 points of damage here. However, you are going to need to make another Constitution saving throw on this one. Okay, so again, so you actually feel this kind of acidic sort of substance trying to sneak into this wound that it has made, but you basically manage to kind of brush it away, and you feel the burning begin to fade, but clearly there is some poisonous aspect to this, to the tail that just hit you, but fortunately for you, did not manage to do anything else. Before Kaz gets a chance to act, you hear the intercom crackle into life, and you hear Spindra say, I'm sorry, I can't fight him again. You're fighting... And she sounds like she's weeping, which is the first time you've ever heard anything like this from her. These are Kadasi. They're Kadasi, they're Scourge Kadasi. And they killed everything on that ship. They must have killed them. They're going to kill you and me. I'm sorry. I'll come back if I can find some help. I'm sorry. And then just cuts out.
Okay.
All of you heard that.
Huh.
Sleepwell, can I get another scream?
Oh, that's a different kind of
Cod!
I knew it!
Oh, good man.
Like,
Yeah.
Jerry
Spindra!
Seinfeld, Newman, you know.
Where's my Kirk gif at? Like, you know. Oh man.
You left your dog, you monster!
It's true, she did.
Oh no.
Yep.
We've acquired another
You have another pet.
maid.
That's right.
Poodle, you're mine now.
Yeah, exactly, Aaronell, another traitor. If I do D&D with viewers, kill every NPC on site. No, wait a minute now. Rona was all right for these guys. Rona's been okay. And Leo was harmless. And what about the one who made the bacon for Petra? What about that guy?
Every time.
Yeah. Okay. So that is going to lead us to That is going to lead us to that was no, that was that the one. So that's Kaz, and Sleepwell is going to be on deck.
Okay, so I'm going to, and Kaz would have heard it kind of move closer to the door and away from the ladder.
Yes, that's fair. Yep.
Okay, so he's going to go the rest of the way up the ladder, and he's going to kind of peek his head up, and he's going to take another pistol shot.
Just straight up with his head, like the rifle right along the ground.
Well, it's actually my arm pistol, so like,
oh, okay.
maybe, yeah, one arm on the ladder and the other arm on the floor with the pistol there, and he's just gonna shoot out like that.
All
so,
right.
Nope, 9.
Well, that's what happens when you have one arm on the ladder. Like, I got this, guys. Yeah, not so much. Even though it is hurt, you miss it, unfortunately. You're also trying to avoid hitting your friends. I mean, I'm sure that's the real reason.
That's true.
You still have movement left, so.
Mm-hmm. He is gonna go back down the ladder like 3 rungs, but stay on it.
Okay. This is still very much how I would do a computer role-playing game too. Just like up 3 steps, down.
Exactly.
3 steps. Yeah. Baldur's Gate, like you just go forward, back, forward, back. All right.
Yeah, that's it for him.
I dig it. Sleepwell is up. Petra's on deck. Sleepwell, what do you want to do as you are behind this thing?
See how far I can move here. Let's see. So it's like, if I go here, that's 10 feet,
10,
right?
Yep. 20
So
to go
then-
up, or 10 to go up, so 20 total.
And then like 30 to go
5,
through the
10.
door?
Yeah, I think you can get through the door. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I will do that, getting as far away from the thing as I possibly can and still take a pot shot at it with my little pistol.
Okay. Go ahead and fire away.
There we go. Ooh.
Wow.
Oh.
Wait a minute. You just rolled
Yeah,
2D.
wait, what happened there?
I was
I'm
like,
surprised.
well, no wonder wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I rolled the wrong thing. That would work. So I tried to use the D20 just by hovering over it. And I just put on D20 plus what I thought was going to be +2, but
I think it means you just rolled it
I
twice.
rolled 2 D20.
I just had this image of you coming in, and all of a sudden it's like the scene from Desperado, like "Don't look back," like nothing, just you John wooing it, just like do.
That will still happen. I'm an asshole.
You didn't know I had it in you, did you? Like,
yeah. So the dream sequence is over now. Where
and now he misses. Right, exactly. In the real world, you miss
back
wide.
to, my reality.
Oh my god.
I'm lucky I didn't shoot myself.
That's really funny. Unfortunately, it does not hit. That was great, though. You're like, this is what I did. No, this is what really happened,
Yeah,
dear viewers.
exactly.
Like narrator voice, he did not hit. All right, so, but you have no more movement, unfortunately, having done that. So you are now standing next to Aramis, and that leaves us to Petra. Petra, this thing is barely standing.
Well, I think it should no longer be standing, and I'm going to try to make it so.
Okay.
So this time I'll add the entire
5.
number, making it 20.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a hit. No dream sequence there. That's a lot of hit.
And that is 7 damage.
Yep, and you literally knock this thing backwards. And Kaz, you have a moment where you duck just in time as this creature falls backwards and its tail falls down, and the stinger literally is hanging like a few inches above your head as this
I
thing.
kind of like tap it.
It's quite dead. And an eerie silence descends here over the ship.
Oh, so it didn't become unsilent? A new silence descends?
Yes, I would say the silence of you guys not fighting it basically happens.
A happier silence.
A happier silence, right? And I
But
should
still
say,
uneasy.
now I mentioned the thing that Petra felt about the sort of deadness of the air, and I think Kaz, you had been the one that I had mentioned had felt something similar, that there was something off about this space. Again, it also does not feel like this right now where you are, almost as if there was an aura that was eliminated when you destroyed this thing.
So do we think that was all of them, guys? Because if not, we should try and talk. Well, we should get rid of them, but we should try and talk What's-Her-Face into coming back if we still can.
the communicators that wait. Could you pull the robot back so I can climb the rest of the way up?
Yes. I'm gonna
Okay.
pull the robot out of the way.
Okay.
I climb up the ladder.
It's pretty heavy I mean, you're able to do it, but just so you know, it is pretty heavy. And this thing, for as silent as it was, like, it makes a terrible screeching sound when you're pulling it across, like it feels like it's just a hunk of metal.
Can we detach the tail?
You might be able to. It is heavy and flexible, but you'd need to be able to sever it with some kind of like laser. You need to be able to use some kind of like a mecha laser to actually, like carve through the base of it. You might be able to. So this metal looks, by the way, astonishingly tough, but obviously not tough enough to avoid being killed.
I'll occupy myself looking around for some device.
I am going to occupy myself by looking for sensors that I can use to study the ship better.
Okay. So you're going to do this in this room. So there are two, as I mentioned, there's two terminals in this room. And then there is this door that leads to the cockpit and what you assume would be like the captain's, area or whatever, like the front of the ship. And as I mentioned, you also think it's a little odd from an engineering point of view to separate the navigation terminals, and that's clearly what these are, from the sort of command center of the ship in front.
Right.
Very odd.
So, yelling, I'm just going to, as I walk here, I'm going to yell, Spindra, can you hear me? Come back! And so, while I do that, though, I'm going to open the door to the cockpit.
Okay. What you see in front here is indeed the front of what is obviously the front of the ship. There is a command chair, or what looks like that, you can see right here. And the interesting thing about this command chair is that, first of all, it's a very elaborate command chair with lots of buttons and bells and whistles and like video screens on the handles and everything. But that is the only thing you see other than two front portholes, which are currently closed here and here. But there is nothing else, including other chairs, benches, or anything else in the room. This looks like there's supposed to be, only one person in here at one time. And indeed, as you look more closely, there is one person, not a living one though. The bottom half of something is sitting in the chair. The top half is in front of the chair, lying on the ground here.
Dun dun dun.
I very quickly say, got another sliced in half dude here.
That means that maybe there's another one in there.
Well, let's go kill it.
Or maybe we should decide what we should do first, or what we want to do here.
Fair enough.
So,
Well, first of all, I'm actually going to... okay. Do we... I'm pretty badly... My suit's pretty damaged. I can use this energy coil to repair a little bit, but do we want to try to take a rest? A bit of a rest?
That's a good idea.
I just
Not a
don't think
long
this
one,
is-
but-
Yeah, this isn't safe right now. Like we could take a short break, but we'd have to like seal the doors, and we have like two places where they could enter, and this one fell from above and they're invisible. I don't know if this is safe to do that. Like if we think there's something in this room, over here, I don't think this is the right place to do it. Like I think we need to secure the area.
Could you find a way to airlock the doors so that they can't be opened?
Well, so like there are two crawl spaces. So the two crawl spaces I don't think can be secured. So people can come from below and rise up, or they could descend from above as they did before.
Those crawl spaces were pretty small though, right? Not big enough for one of those things.
Just depends if there are other things, I guess. I guess what I'd like to do
What
is
do you
make a
wanna do?
perception check to see if I see anything in this room.
Sure, go ahead and do that. Where are you looking specifically in the room?
Well, I'm of course going to be looking in all directions. So like ceiling first, but then scanning the floor.
Okay.
Where the hell
Oh,
is my-
wow, Aradinel. Wow. Captain's not here. He had to split. That's quality. I think that joke is being too clever by half. Heyo.
So I rolled a 10.
Yeah, you don't note anything here. You note that the body of this, like their blood, and there definitely is blood, but it's long since congealed, and this was not recent. And you don't get the sense of kind of deadness of air and so forth. You hadn't felt that nearly as much as Kaz and Petra anyway. But this, I mean, it's, it smells bad in here and it seems terrible and it's awful, but you don't get any impression, sort of at least immediately, that there is any danger awaiting you in this room.
Right.
But again, who knows how long that would last.
So what I say is basically, look, I don't think there's anything in here. This guy's been dead for a long time, and it doesn't look like there's any other access in this room except this door. So let's all go into the cockpit, secure the door, take shifts, and take a rest.
I'm okay with that.
I think that sounds good.
Okay, so if you all you can move your counters in there then. If you want to secure the door, Sleepwell, you think you might be able to do that actually from the captain's chair, but to do that, you're going to have to, well, move the captain's lower bottom extremities out of the chair where it's currently sitting.
Right. So coming up with some kind of hilarious pun about like shake a leg or something like that, I'll go ahead and, in ways that are respectful to bodies, sort of put the legs next to the torso of the captain.
Okay.
Actually, before that though, I'm going to see if I can use my medical skills to maybe check out the body and see if I can determine time of death, how long it might have been there.
Okay.
And also just pat it down to see if there's any kind of security key that I need or any kind of card that might be on them.
Make a medicine check for me on that first part. Yeah, you search the ceiling but caught off guard by the foe running on the floor normally. It just like walks right up to you and you're not paying attention. You're like any tourist in New York. Hey, look at the buildings.
Right.
Bumps
I did
in.
not. I rolled a 9.
Okay. So it's a little bit non-specific because of the nature of this wound. The one thing you can say is it's been a while, although it's not clear how long. The other thing is these cuts that made this cut almost cleanly. In fact, I don't want to get too graphic about this, but there are organs that are basically cut in half. This thing looks as if this thing just carved through, like a hot knife through butter, as they say, through this human being's torso. Certainly the same kind of cuts that were used on the bodies outside, no question about it.
I'll share this information quickly with everybody. It looks like, that he fell victim to the same sorts of creatures. And then I searched the body to see if there's anything I need.
Make an investigation check for me on that one. And what's up, Rock God? The investigation check, I hate to say this, you can do this at +3 because you're only searching half the body. It's really it's too soon.
Yeah. Okay. I keep getting slightly lower every time.
You're getting more and more disturbed.
Yeah.
So you don't note anything particularly except that you think that you find sort of on there's some kind of a sort of a clip that's at the captain's wrist, and it seems to be almost like a bracelet of some kind, which is attached around his wrist with no clear unlocking mechanism. Like there doesn't seem to be any real way to get it off that you can see. But it's odd in that it looks like a regular sort of bracelet made of some kind of silvery metal, but on one end of that metal is what looks like basically a chip. Like if you had to guess, it was like a data chip or some kind of a chip, but it is on this bracelet, which is one perfect circle apparently around his wrist.
So can I use my engineering skills to see if I can figure out like what the chip actually is now that I found it?
Yes. Sure. Yes. Let's have you make. Let's see. I'm trying to think about what the skill would be though.
Computers, maybe.
Sorry.
Computers.
No. Let's have you make a. We can have you make. I think mechanics check,
Mhm.
right?
Mechanics?
Astrophysics. I don't
No,
know.
not astrophysics. Let's say mechanics.
Oh, that's my best one. So there's a roll.
Hey, that's what you were
Nice.
waiting for. Almost certainly, this thing is some kind of a data or access chip. And usually, the way these things work is that when you've seen these before, these are kind of expensive, actually. And there's two things to note about this. Sleep well. Number one, usually what this is, it's a kind of biometrically secured device, which means that there's something that the person who wears it needs to do to disconnect or connect it again. The second thing is that this is not something used by straight ahead, legitimate, like, everything is legal and above board. You remember, in fact, during some of your travels when you had to stow away on a couple of ships, including a couple of smuggler ships, and you knew that there were some officers and even just sort of regular crew members who would sometimes wear equipment like this. This is black market stuff.
So I share this with the group that, well, I say the captain here definitely wasn't on the up and up, but I guess, working with Spindra, we could have guessed that. I have a feeling, though, that we're going to need this chip to, one, secure the door, but two, be able to maybe take control of it.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
Do you need help trying to figure that out?
Well, I might need help getting it off of him, but on the other hand, it's biometric, so maybe we don't want it off him. Maybe the chip will work better if we actually kind of, if we give the morbidity, just like leave it on and take the captain with the bracelet.
I'll help you lift him up. Or her. I don't know.
So, right,
Seems
before,
like it was a him.
it was like the bottom half that was left and the first half had been tossed off. Now we've removed the bottom half, but I think we're gonna
There's a little blood still on the chair, but it's now open.
Wait, say that again, I'm sorry?
There's blood on the chair, but now that you've moved the half of the body off of the chair, which I think you've done,
Right, yeah, we
you can now, it's now accessible. There's just some blood there, but...
Right. So we're gonna put the top half of the captain back in the chair. Or at least I
Are you
am.
going to put it on top of the bottom half?
No, the bottom half is gone. We're not reassembling, Legos later. Right now.
Okay, so again, Voltron, who made this? Okay, so you're going to put it back in the chair?
And I'm specifically looking to see if there's a spot where the bracelet makes sense, based on what I was able to determine from my role, if like the bracelet would go somewhere or if there's some place where the Wi-Fi would be close enough so that it would activate again.
Yeah. So you kind of hold his torso and then move the bracelet like over near a couple of spots, which, let me get rid of this thing. No, I don't want to remove it. I want to get rid of it. Hold on one second. I just want to get rid of that screen. Okay. So you move it, you kind of like move it next to the right arm of the chair where there seems to be kind of a sensor. And as you do that, a couple of things happen. First of all, the two screens on the front left and the right light up. And secondly, the panel in the floor in front of the chair opens. And pulling up out of the floor of the chair is this pedestal on which looks to be a version of what you saw in the hangar bay, but way more complex. Like screen, like knobs, levers, this is clearly like some kind of a control console.
Excellent. On this thing, I will use my analyze device so that I can know what it does.
Okay. All right. So, as you look over this way. Okay, give me just 1 second. All right. So, like that. Okay, and then this. Blah, blah, blah. Right. Okay, right. So, Okay. I'm sorry, Carlos. I'm trying to find notes on one other thing to make this clear. So what were you doing with this? You were.
So I have, my analyze device skill that basically lets me understand how to use a device.
Okay. Yes. This thing looks like it's definitely a sort of a general control computer system. And it's a sort of computer control system that manages here. And it looks like that if you're able to sort of use the kind of biometric again, that it will pop up a screen that would, now you don't know if it's going to require for passwords or what, but it's going to allow something that would then allow you access to possibly the ship's log.
Excellent. So, I'm definitely going to want as much access as possible. But so the first thing I want to do is see if I can have access to lock and unlock doors.
Okay. Go ahead and make a computers check for me, please.
Sir. Sorry, let's find it here. Okay. That probably won't do it.
Let's see. Yeah, exactly, Ardenel, Mr. Potato Head. Yeah, not so much. There's definitely something going on with this thing, but you don't, not really very easily. It doesn't look like you don't have maybe the combination of maybe there's like a sequence of buttons you need to press first, but not from what you've been able to see so far.
Okay. I'm going to keep attempting things. So I want to see if I can get access to, sensors on the ship and cameras on the ship. I want to see if I can, get access to the logs. So should I keep rolling or how does that work?
So I will cut back to you in a minute as you're trying to figure that out. I want to know what Petra and Kaz are doing as this is going on. So now, Sleepwell is now trying to fiddle with and basically get more information about the, what he can from the captain's chair. What are the two of you doing?
Well, Kaz looks at Petra and says, well, she's abandoned us here. Do you think we should try to, Sleepwell's over there trying to get more control of the ship, but
I'm really worried that there's more of these things on the ship.
Me too.
I think they'll get the drop on us if we're not careful. I can heal 15, I can heal myself enough that I will feel better, or one of us enough to feel better, but I can't fully heal everybody.
Which is why I think let's do our rest here, at least while Sleepwell's working, and then after that maybe we could try to, hopefully Sleepwell can find a way to try to detect if these creatures are here or if these things are on the ship. And then I don't know how much we can do without Spindra, because she was the one who really knew what sorts of things we were going to take from the ship. So I think the best thing we could do is rest and then try to scope out the rest of the ship as carefully as possible. Although I don't know how that'll work out.
That makes sense.
While you're doing this, make another computer check for me, please, Sleepwell.
That's a natural 20.
Nice.
Okay. So you are Tron-like brought into the computer. No. That doesn't happen. You as you're sort of fiddling with it, suddenly you get a sort of vroom, and a map pops up on the screen. And unlike the Placostomus Apple IIe style screens, this is a much more functional one, although still kind of old model sort of thing. And in fact, you're fairly confident, Sleepwell, as you're looking at this, that this sort of map diagram that you're looking at is not coming from a legal program. This feels to you like sort of a black hat style program that is using sort of like, Black Hat Linux. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Okay.
it's not sort of used by sort of general up and up things, but it has the advantage of being something which is very difficult to track or trace or to break into. Not that said, though, you were able to reveal aspects of the map. So this is what you then see pop on the screen. Now, none of these are labeled on your map, but you can now see them.
Is this a live view or is this a static map?
No, static map.
Okay.
So I'm just opening this up. This you don't see anything like this. Doesn't show you objects or anything else, but this shows you a static map of the ship.
So I call everybody over and say, "Hey, I've got a view of the ship at least."
Oh. Okay.
And so we can see all the levels as well, correct?
Yes. There seems to be, though, for the most part, just the main rooms on this seem to be on the level where you currently are. The below decks area seems to be for the hold, and then various crawlways. And there is for a ship the size of the Tangerel, there seems to be not a lot of obvious space. That's like, you don't know where all the space is, but it's definitely not being used for cabins. I'll just put it that way.
Very interesting. So revealing the ship, I mean, that was not exactly what I was hoping to do, but very useful. And this thing right over here is not labeled?
Not labeled.
Okay.
But if you had to guess based on the shape, you would estimate that it's another hangar bay, because it's
Right.
like looks exactly like the one on the other side, but it is not labeled.
Exactly, yeah. So, I point a finger here and I say, worst comes to worst, this might be our way out.
All right.
So, I'm still going to continue to, 1, try to lock down doors. 2, try to access the ship logs. 3, try to see if those things were in any way controllable by the ship. If they're a security function of the ship, or if there's any kind of security in the ship.
Ah, the creatures that you just fought, you mean?
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
be right back.
All right. Okay. So as you're continuing to work with this thing, let's see. I'm going to have you make one more computer check for me.
Is there any way that I can help Sleepwell?
Not, I think, on a computer check, because he's only able to access. This seems like a one-man deal, like at least at a time. That's because so much is based upon this computer, like the captain's chair. Like he's accessing everything from the captain's chair, looking at that podium.
Mhm.
Okay, so this time, as you sort of go through it, you're able to figure out the sort of doors, and you're able to access what looks like the last week or so of ship's log data. Now, there's also what looks to be like more data behind that, but I'll talk more about that other data in a minute. You were able, though, to access, as I said, the data from the last week or so. And as you look at this data, what seems to be coming through for you is there is very clearly information about references to creatures that attack. There's something about you see there's this, and a lot of it is sort of very rushed, and like there's a bunch of typos and things like that, as if somebody were like frantically typing or speaking in a way that the computer couldn't understand or something like that. But these are all non-verbal logs. They're all typed logs. And so they're all text logs, and they're things about attack sequences and locking doors, airlocks. It seems like they were all trying to avoid something, which was they were trying to keep something out. And the last thing that you get, the sort of last entry, which is from, by sort of a quick calculation, probably about a week and a half ago or so, roughly speaking, is an entry which is only about half full, and it does seem to have an audio log associated with it. This is the first one you've run into that had an audio log.
I quickly summarize what what you just said to me, to the crew, and then I try to activate the audio log.
Okay. When you hear the audio log, it pops up and you hear something like this. outside. There's no point in staying quiet now. They're out there now. The thing was stupid when they opened up the cargo. You don't open cargo. You never open cargo. Oh! If you hear this, you're dead. You're all dead. You're already dead. Nothing is going to save you from these things. Your only chance is to try to get out of this ship. And you can't do that with them. They'll come from anywhere. They'll come from... And then there's this horrible sound as if something stabbed him. There's a gurgling, and then the log cuts out. Definitely
Well,
a
that's
humanoid
not
or human
cheerful.
voice, definitely male.
Well, great.
Well, shit.
All right.
So I'm gonna try to lock the door.
You, fortunately, you are able to, at least what you think, are able to lock the door. The interesting thing, by the way, is that the door itself did not look as if it were, like, forcibly opened.
Right. Yeah.
It's still intact.
So, what I say is like, after I lock the door, it's like, I think these automatons, they have a way past these mechanical systems. I don't know if this is going to help us a lot. I think what we need to do is regroup, recover, and then try to get the heck off of this ship. I say we take shifts guarding the door, we sleep and heal as best we can, and then we make a break for it.
I agree with you.
Yes.
Let's do it. I I can sleep first, or well, I don't really need to sleep. One moment. Let me
It sounds like
check in
you're-
with myself.
I
I don't
can
really
sleep well.
I see what you did there. Okay, good night, Nonival. Thanks for stopping by, man.
I only need 4 hours myself instead of 8, so I can start resting first, and then the rest of the time you both can sleep if you want.
That
Okay,
sounds
that
good.
seems.
Okay. So who's taking watch at what times then? So Kaz is going to do the 4 hours.
I'm doing the first sleep,
Okay.
so
Right.
Is it going to be Sleepwell or Petra who's guarding during that time, or Aramis, I guess?
I will take the first watch, and I am going to use my regenerative force pool beforehand to heal myself, which is 5 points
Okay.
per level.
Okay. So we're talking about, what do you guys, level 2? Level 3?
Three.
Level 3.
3.
3. Yeah. I don't want to take a level out of you guys. All right.
So that gives me 15 points back.
Okay. So you're at 25 out of 30, I believe.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good. So Petra, while the others, and you're all sleep, I was about to ask where
Yeah.
you're sleeping. So you're going out to sleep in the hold there, right? Just like on top of the crates, like just exposing your butt. Okay, just want to make sure I know.
And knocking on them is awesome.
Right.
No,
Halfway up and down the
I'm,
ladder. Yeah.
I'm cuddling with the torso. No, I'm
My little
God.
torso. The best
Oh man.
little-
And you're like, this body ain't half bad. I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Oh,
I
God.
couldn't. I just, it was there, and I had to. Okay.
Oh god.
Yeah, right.
Took
It
me a
comes
sec.
and hits you again as to
Yeah.
how bad that joke really is. All right. As Petra, about 2 hours in, you are sort of, and are you standing or like sitting? Because the others, I assume, are all sort of lying as best they can. It's not very comfortable, by the way, in this place, but you do the best you can. Are you standing or sitting, or where are you, Petra, in this room?
I am sitting in a place where I can watch as many points of access to the room as possible.
Okay. About 2.5 hours in, you are sort of sitting, kind of looking around, and you hear this whisper. It does not sound like the scraping that I mentioned before. You hear a whisper coming from the captain's chair terminal, which is still up in front, sort of up front, like standing in front of the chair there. You hear activity coming from the screen.
I will go and look at it.
So, on the screen, you are somewhat stunned to see what looks like some kind of three-dimensional holographic projection of a face. Now, you've seen this face before, Petra. This is the face that you saw on the Hyperlance. But this ship that you're looking at, this screen, has no such 3D capability. Like, this is not a projection screen. And yet, there it is, floating above the screen. The expression of the face, which is exactly the same face you saw on the hyperspace, on the Hyperlance, is looking at you, and its expression seems sad.
I'm going to say Hyperlance? Question mark.
And there's a pause, and then you hear, I am not Hyperlance. I am the Tangrel. Where am I?
Are you the ship? Are you in the ship?
Do you want me to be the ship?
I don't. Whoa, Jesus. Yes, I want you to be the.
Then I am. Sorry, that was not actually happened. That was my thing. Sorry. I was like, haha. I was like, I could just go with that. Sorry. It goes, I am the ship, if it pleases you for me to be so. Why have you come to this place of death?
We're trying to get away from it.
It seems that wherever you go, you then attempt to get away. Now, I should say the face is like, its lips are moving, but the voice is a whisper.
I say, thinking back, there is some validity to this, but there are places we have been that I remember fondly and would return to. Moments of charbroiling.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And she says, the voice, which sounds vaguely feminine, says, the question is, when will you find a place that is your own? Will you wander from dead ship to dead station to dead planet until you yourself are dead? Or will you step into the world of the living and cease your speaking to ghosts?
I have no idea how to reply to that without speaking to a ghost, so I'm going to go think about this.
As you walk away, it says, take as long as you need, Petra Sinis. Where you are, I am always. And then the face fades.
So, who's the next watch?
I get
Me.
it's up to you guys. I guess it would be Sleepwell.
Okay.
Not
So,
it. No.
I'm going to say, sleep well.
What?
Everything's fine. Just if anything starts talking to you, probably wake us up, okay? And then I'm just gonna go to sleep without even any other explanation.
Just straight to the ground. Like, just-
I'm like, no problem.
Okay. You do not encounter any talking faces on your thing. In fact, the ship is quiet, almost too quiet. No, just normally quiet.
So while I'm on watch, I'm going to keep trying to figure out how the ship works. Using the pedestal to try to learn how to get access to just whatever it can access from there. I want to try to figure it out.
Make another computer check for me, please. And while you're doing that, this is a good moment to say, because we're going to be on for about another 25 minutes or so, that you are watching the amazing Esper Genesis crew, represented tonight by Cat Rambo, by Carlos Hernandez, and by Zach Clay, playing Petrosinis, Ludius Sleepwell, and Cosmoritis, respectively. Unfortunately, Johnny Pippin, who plays Aramis, is dealing with power outages in the Midwest, and so is not with us, but he will be with us, because we're going to get him to a civilized part of the country. No, I'm just kidding. But he will be back with us in a couple of weeks. This is sponsored, of course, by the amazing Alligator Alley Entertainment. If you like what you have seen here so far, please make sure to follow the channel. Please make sure to check out the other tabletop we've got going on here. And I do want to mention again that I have a big announcement, channel-related announcement, coming up on my Curse of Strahd campaign tomorrow. So you'll be able to see more of these details coming up down the line. Also, Brian, I dropped you an email message, just so you know. So, an email message, that will be just an email. I dropped you an email, so if you could just quickly take a look at that, if you wouldn't mind responding, that would be lovely, sir. And Brian, of course, is the head of Alligator Alley Entertainment. They, of course, are also, the other announcement that I made earlier, is that Alligator Alley will be publishing my D&D trilogy of adventures called the Forbidden Library Trilogy. This is the set of adventures that I have done for the Writer Symposium at Gen Con the last couple of years. The wrap-up to that will be this coming year. And if you are interested in seeing this fully 5e compatible module, stay tuned, because we will be running the Kickstarter for that early in the new year. So fairly early in the new year, you'll have a chance to see that, and obviously we'll be talking a lot about that as time goes on. I'm super excited about it, because you can see what a great system this is. Them working on the adventure is really awesome, so I'm very excited about that, and thank you all for being here. Okay. So, now you have had a chance to roll a 20, if that's what I'm...
Oh, no, I haven't rolled yet. I was waiting for you to do that.
Oh, okay.
I draw my intention.
For me to stop doing my self-promo.
So here we go. A whopping 6. Man.
It's got to be here someplace. Okay. Yeah, here's the thing that you keep running into. The basic mechanical effect. What you keep running into is you're going along, you see the logs that I described, including that audio log, right? But then there's a section that is basically the equivalent of a directory that's invisible, that seems to have no content, which, to excuse my language for a moment, is bullshit. There are no empty folders, okay? That's not how this exists. What's up, Kooky Canuck? Good to see you, man. Thank you, Kooky Canuck. It's good to see you, man. So there are no empty folders. There's got to be something here, and it looks to you as if this folder is in the same directory tree as the rest of the logs that you've been reading, but you can't get access to this one. So there's something going on with this log, but it's encrypted. The encryption is no joke on this, and that's basically the problem that you're having at the moment. Your hack foo is not succeeding on these.
Definitely not on that. But I guess like what I'm hoping is that, I know enough now that I can figure out other things of the ship, just like not hack foo level stuff, but more like look at sensors, see what is going on through cameras, basic stuff like that. See if there's a log of just like what supplies are on the ship, if there's a manifest, that sort of thing.
There is a manifest, and you actually are able to track down some details of a manifest to a degree. Some of the things that you see on the manifest are basically there's a lot of things relating to. There is basically you see a number of things that talk about various planetary goods, and as you sort of look at some of them, what you think they're talking about are artifacts of some kind, quite possibly stolen artifacts that have great cultural significance. You see references to the blue and the red. The blue and the red are slang terms for particular kinds of very potent and addictive drugs. that are highly illegal in the Silrain Arc, and which have the effect of allowing you to basically enter a dream state where you can spend most of your time floating around and feeling good about everything until you starve because you don't feel the need to ever eat when you're actually on this drug, etc., etc. So there's drugs here as well. There are what look to be various, like, perhaps not exactly weapons, but maybe like attachments for weapons, sights and materials, weapons materials. Also, and Spindra was apparently being honest about this much, lots of materials that would be used in shipbuilding, also computer components. All of this is a metric ton of credits. Like, this is a lot of money. And all of it seems to be sort of available on the obvious manifest. But again, there is another phantom directory in here, much smaller and completely inaccessible, at least to this point.
And I can't navigate from this, right? The navigation's in a different room?
Right, the navigation is from a different room, which again seems odd to you, and only now have you begun to put two and two together. The only time you would separate the navigation from the captain is if the captain didn't want the navigators to see what it was the captain was ordering them to do.
Which, yeah, makes sense for a smuggling ship in a lot of ways. So I am gonna, keep plugging along for as long as my shift guarding the door works. But of course, I'm gonna make sure that the doors stay locked. Still gonna keep looking for cameras so I can check out other parts of the ship, that sort of thing.
So the only other thing that you're able to notice as you're kind of working the rest of them is that there seems to be one area of the ship that's lower than the rest. And there's reference to sort of the power levels, and that is referring to this back here. This appears to be some kind of an engine room, and you can see that there's actually several. There's like the the level up top here, and this level down below is even lower than the hold level is. So this is the the bowels of the ship, and as far as you can tell, this is the only area that's this low within the ship, and the engine is located within it. Right now, the power levels look to be very low indeed. Certainly not low enough that certainly not high enough that you'd be able to turn it around and limp this thing back to Pelseros or anything like that. They're not in good shape, and they're not going to be easily regenerated.
But we did have that Sorium that we brought on board. So
True.
Right. Okay.
All right, and then that finishes up your thing, and then Kaz is awakened next, I believe.
Well, Kaz took the first shift.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I
thought it was the
I
last
didn't.
shift, right? It was Pedro
Oh, no,
took
no,
the
you were-
first,
that's
then
right.
Sleepwell,
Mhm.
and then actually Aramis too. Don't forget. So I mean, if you want Aramis to take the next one,
Yeah.
Kaz, it's up to you.
I could. Well, let's say if we're going for 8 hours, then Petra could have taken 2, and then Sleepwell 2 hours, and then I can take 4 because I only need 4 hours. So Aramis can just sleep well.
Cute. This is the name that keeps on giving. Okay. Yes. I think you can do that. So, is there anything in specific that you do when you wake from your resting period?
Yeah,
so to
a
speak?
few things. So my health goes back up, right? And then,
Yes. So what happens here at the end of a long, because this is basically you taking a long rest. So
yeah.
what happens, and this is for all of you actually, at the end of this long rest. So you are going to regain all of your hit points. That's number 1. Number 2, you are going to regain. You are going to regain your spent hit dice up to a number of dice equal to half of your total number of them. So all of you at level 3 should have 3 hit dice, so you will basically get 2 dice back of that 3. So if you used, in other words, if you used any of your hit dice, you will get some of them back. It depends on whether you used any or not.
Cool. And then my Hunter's Mark refreshes, my talents refresh, and then also as a part of a long rest, I can change my quarry as a hunter.
What would you like to change it to?
I'm gonna change it to Matokai. No, I'm gonna change it to.
I don't like the cut of your jib, Kesh. If I ever find you.
I'm gonna change my quarry to Spindra.
That's
Seriously.
I mean,
No, I'm gonna change it to constructs, and then. Oh wait, there's actually a difference.
What's up, Frem?
Apparently, because it lets me choose automatons and constructs are listed separately.
Yeah, it's a difference.
Oh God, would I know which one the thing is?
I'm gonna ask you to make.
I mean, I don't even know the difference.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna ask you to make a mechanics check for me. This is gonna be combined with your experience that you just had.
Okay. Oops. 14.
Okay. So a construct is literally created for another purpose. It is a drone, right? A drone is usually a construct that you have built or created. A golem, on another planet, would be considered a construct. But an automaton is something which, while it may have been constructed for a single purpose, can now function on its own. So it is not required to have orders anymore.
So would I be an automaton, kind of?
You're more than that, though, because you were not really constructed. You were an energy
I'm an
being.
energy being.
These are other things which were constructed, but then can function for their own purposes and with their own motives. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And now, if you think about that, you can put that together with the way that you saw these things react.
That they're probably automatons.
I'm not going to say anything either way, but I mean, I'm just, you saw their behavior.
And I don't know anything about these whatever Venasi or whatever
she referred to them as the Kanasi.
Kanasi. Okay.
And no.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna set it to automatons, and then that's that. So now I can track them better.
Okay.
I can, if I get the chance to do a lore or xenobiology check, I can do stuff, and then I can intimidate them better if I want. And then also stealth is better too.
Okay.
Okay.
So not different kind of Kanasi. Sleepwell, I'm going to give you a chance to make one more of those computer checks, because there's one other thing about the manifest I wanted to see if you noted. So go ahead and make one more of those. Man, it's not your day. So the one thing I'll just add to what you found is that in addition to the stuff I mentioned in the manifest, there were a lot of mundane items too. So there's a lot of valuable stuff, but there's also a lot of mundane stuff. And a lot of the mundane stuff is along the lines of drills, lasers, portable supports, saw blades, drill bits, wagons, things that are, I mean, you can kind of make your own judgment about them, but they're very mundane, and there's a number of these items, like many of them, like, 10 like drill bits, 50 portable supports, things like that.
Well, I'll share this with the crew and just say that there are all these sorts of building supplies, lots of drilling. Are there also things like nails, bolts, screws?
No, there tends to be more along the lines of lasers, drills, supports, wagons, like hauling wagons, things like that.
They like to make holes, and they like to take stuff away. So, I share it with the group here, but, I'm not sure what much more information that gives us, based on the fact that, Razor Things wants to kill us, and we probably have other priorities right now.
Yeah. So I cause, other than regaining all that stuff and then setting the quarry, during those 4 hours, he's not going to open the door or try to. So I guess Kaz might try in the time that they're resting. He might go up to the computer and attempt to. I think Sleepwell mentioned trying to get into the camera system, so he's going to see if he can try to do that as well.
Okay, I'll have you make a computer's check for that, please.
All right. Just as much chance as you, so here we go. So 15.
You get into, you do get into what looks like a camera system, but the camera system actually looks to be a set of video logs, basically. And the video logs seem to mostly be very recent and mostly very short. And there are 3 of them that you can find.
I'll watch the one that's most close to the present.
Okay. The most recent one is a camera which seems to be focused down at, it might be it's not clear if it's maybe the engine room, but it seems to be a room that's rather large and seems to have a lower level to it. I mean, that could also maybe be the cargo hold. The camera's focused on it. And then you see what looks like one of the things that you just fought looking up and then slashing out with its claw, and then there's like a spark, and then the log goes dead.
And this was in some sort of lower part of the ship, you said?
Correct. And it's the most recent of the ones you said.
Can I tell how recent?
It's not, no, but definitely a couple of weeks anyway. But the dates are sort of confusing. And in fact, this might even have been corrupted, this record.
Okay. And then I look at the second to last log.
Second to last log actually has, it looks to be coming from a sort of smaller room, which is all on one level. And you can see that this person, it shows a picture, shows a video of a person who's dressed in an outfit looking like a, like a regular like shipboard kind of officer or crew outfit. And you can see that they are sort of holding their body against the inside of a door, one of the doors of one of the rooms on the ship. It's not clear which room though. Holding it, and you can see there's no sound obviously, but you can see they're kind of looking at it and then desperately turning around and looking around wildly for something and then looking back and sort of listening constantly, like leaning their ear to the door as if they're listening for something. And then there is a moment where you just sort of watch the log for a while, and then the person who seems absolutely exhausted kind of slumps down with their head in their hands and kind of rocks back and forth, and then that log terminates. Not violently necessarily, just stops.
Do I recognize the person? Is it one of the bodies that we've seen?
Doesn't seem familiar, no.
And okay. And then I look at the last log.
So the last log is coming from somewhere in apparently the cargo hold. And you can see that there are a bunch of people sort of looking around the various blue crates and kind of making notes on what look like sort of portable tablets, like maybe manifests or sort of marking things. And they're kind of assessing stuff, it looks like. And you see the cameras are focused on the blue crates. And a couple of them you can see are sort of pointing up to somewhere on the second floor. It's not visible as to what, but are pointing up at something on the second floor. They seem to be talking to someone up on the second floor, the sort of level, the catwalk that surrounds the hold, and then are talking to each other. So this seems to be a rather routine, like, automatic log of just sort of walking around looking at these crates.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, this is why you don't buy loot crates. Agreed. Or no. Agreed.
Oh, God. Okay, I will. And again, there's no indications of time, even between the videos or up to now.
No, other than to say that you can see that they're sort of sequential, so you can see like one is sort of numbered later than the other ones are.
Yeah.
There are, however, a set of video logs from earlier than this that, or at least you should say, let me put it another way, a folder that should have video logs but appears to be empty. But, as I've previously said to others, clearly is not empty, but looks empty.
Is it one of those things like I click where I think the video log should be anyway?
Well, I mean, like, you can click on it, but like it just says, like, there's just like a no empty directory, like it is, or apparently an empty directory.
Right.
But make a computers check for me. One more of these, please, guys.
Good.
The razors.
2.
Right. So you're kind of like, wow, that folder.
Wow.
I can't.
That folder.
Windows 10, man. Windows 10.
Windows 10. That's why I have a Mac. All right. I finish my 4 hours and then wake the others up, and we begin a new bright and shiny and beautiful day on the haunted dead space of the Tangle.
Yes.
Okay. What do you folks? Few minutes left here. What do you folks want to do?
Eat the dog. No.
The dog, by the way, has been sort of just sleeping next to you rather fitfully. Looks pretty freaked out.
I pet Sprocket.
Although I was tempted to leave Sprocket in the other room because you hadn't actually mentioned that, and just be like, when you come out, you see just the leg is just.
Oh.
But I'm just joking. That's not the case.
So sleep well. I was able to find some video logs, and one of them was very interesting in the sense that there was one of these creatures, the Kanasi or whatever, and it actually seemed intelligent enough to target a camera and destroy it, or at least that's what it seemed to do.
Yeah,
So,
those are the things. I think they're in the crates. I don't know how exactly this works, but I think they were being transported. Who knows for what reasons? You know, transported as mercenary warriors or something. I don't know, but I think they were in the crates and they've gotten themselves out. So what I don't know is why we only ran into 2 if there were more than them. But what I can do is I can send my little drone now out, and I can take a look around the ship and especially take a look at the engine room and see if we can get the engines back online.
This seems like a good idea to me.
yeah, I'm fine with that. I'll, do you think we're good to open the door into this next room?
I think we can just kind of like open it and shut it, and then I'll send my my trusty drone out to take a look. It's an assault drone, so it can even defend itself a little bit. But really, you know, what we want is information, I think.
As we're doing that, I say to Petra,
Petra, do you think you and I, could we try to drag one of the things in here? I want to take a look at it while Sleepwell is surveilling.
I think that's an excellent idea.
All right.
Don't know, Greg, if I was successful in extracting a tail yet, or...
Yeah, well, actually, that's true because we were sleeping in the middle of that. So let's say as you drag it in that you're going to work on that. So you will be able to extract it, I think, if you're able to do a little bit of a mechanics check for me. We're going to be looking basically, you're using essentially kind of like a bit of a laser blade, which I would assume either Sleepwell or you would have.
But yeah, and I do have one as part of my kit, but I also want to assist on this. As you know, Sleepwell is enjoying the collection of trophies,
That's
so he's
his thing.
very interested.
all
So-
3 of us are interested in trying to kind of mess.
So do the mechanics check at advantage then.
Well, okay, so advantage?
Yes.
And then make sure you add, if you have mechanics, then add that. And then if you don't, it's just your wisdom, I think.
That's right.
Oh, I do have +2 for wisdom. I don't have mechanics. So I'm going to begin anew,
Okay.
if that is all right. Okay. Or do you want to just add the +2 to that 3?
No, it's okay. You can do the other one. So that's your first roll.
Among my many
Oh, okay.
God damn it.
You're like, this thing is
Like, I
really
don't
tough.
know.
I mean, this is really, really tough, this thing. It's also very heavy. But one thing you notice is that it's really perfectly sort of, how do I put this, perfectly formed together. Like the parts are slid together in perfect ways. Like this is unbelievable craftsmanship. Like far beyond, you think, the ability of almost anyone, unless there was an incredible amount of money that was put into the construction of something like this.
Yeah. I'm thinking these are war bots of some kind created to really slice up a battlefield.
And by the way, no markings that you can see.
Not even from the damage that we had done?
Oh, no. Let me rephrase that. Yes, but I meant no,
identifying.
No serial numbers, basically, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's definitely those markings, but there's no like manufacturer's marks or anything.
Okay.
Do the blades that it was using to hack at us seem to be something that we could viably activate or use?
It looks more like it's just they're almost like it's fingernails almost, or it's hands. It's not really something that you could grasp. For one thing, if you tried to grasp this blade, you would cut yourself. So you would need to be able to sort of like wrap the lower half of it, even if you could sever it, wrap the lower half of it in a blanket, and then that leads to the question, how do you get the thing off if you're trying to wrap the bottom of it in some kind of thick canvas or whatever? It's just not,
So I say to the others, maybe this is something, a research project for when we have more time and we're not on an abandoned ship in space. All right.
So yeah, I'll say let's retreat back into the cockpit, except for the assault drone that I'm going to summon at this point.
Okay.
Yep.
So the assault drone is going to make its way out. Now, is there an effective range, by the way? Did we decide on this, Carlos? I don't remember if there's a effective
I'm so sorry,
range.
I don't
on
have
the
my
drone.
rule book available right
Let
now.
me check it.
PDF on a different computer. But I think it's, well, I don't know.
Let's find out together. Looking at the wrong.
So rank 2
Yeah.
talent and technique. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was looking at the wrong thing. I would say. Oh, assault drone. Okay, I'm looking at like drone, drone, comma assault. There we go. Range on the assault drone is 50 feet.
Well, that's not very much.
Right. I was gonna say.
Hmm.
So you can have it go out in the room, like, then move out into the room, have it go to the next spot, like, just
Well, 50
put it
feet
in the next
actually
thing.
puts it into, from just looking at the so 50
Yeah,
feet.
it gets you through 2 doors.
Yeah, it's through 2 doors, which, if nothing else, could serve as bait. So, like, if it starts here,
Oh yeah,
it can go all the way to, like, here-ishly, I think.
agree.
Well, actually, it's like 10, 20, 30. I think actually it can get to the first crate, like here.
No,
Like
because
kinda
that's down as well, remember.
Okay.
So,
But
and
like here then.
let's see, 10, 20, 30. Yeah, I would say so. At least inside the room. So 10, 20, 30. Well,
It could unlock the door and look inside.
Yes, it could do that. Yes. I would say it could get there. Yep.
So it's going to attempt to do exactly that. So out this door, open this door, take a little peek-see.
Okay. When you look in this room, what you see here is a long table of some kind. And on the table are a set of empty and overturned cups of some kind, as if there was this either, meeting taking place or something like that. And then, this all this stuff started, like something went down at that point. Maybe that's when the attack began. So There are no bodies in here, though, but there is, as I've just described, this table with a bunch of cups on them.
Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate the drone starting here, go to this side and open this door here.
Okay. And when you look at that, what you're looking here is there seems to be possibly a sink over on this side. There seems to be what looks like kind of a small stove area. This is probably the galley, if you had to guess. Right here. Looks like some shelves, cabinets, and things like that. And there is nothing and no one in here either.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the drone to kind of just like make a lot of noise. I'm going to clang around and just make it rock a lot, use its little drone legs to, basically clap and try to make a clamor, basically.
Where? In that room?
No, so it's standing right here right now.
Okay.
It's basically going to sort of like walk hilariously into walls and smash itself a little bit, not to do damage, but just basically to make noise.
Okay.
It's good, just basically at its extended range here all around this area.
Okay. So you do that, and there is nothing happens for a long time, and then as you begin to move it back around, as you're sort of watching the little vid screen on the front of it as it sort of trundles forward. There is a moment of sort of an odd, surreal moment for you as you're all looking at the screen where suddenly it goes up and like the camera kind of goes wildly as it sort of is being held up. And there's just a moment where you catch one sort of quick sight of a shimmer. And then there is a smash and the screen goes blank.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is where we are going to wrap up the session for this evening, because it is 11:49, and I promised that we would get done at a reasonable hour. So wow, folks, we had a big comment to deal with and big creatures, but these creatures are not your average, ordinary, I mean, Dead Space, right? Am I right? Who's with me? But anyway, good stuff though, and some very interesting ideas and thoughts that many of which worked. I mean, they were. You had a lot of good ideas that I think actually worked pretty well, and some really good moments. But wow, there's a lot going on there. So I will start as per usual over on the far right of your screen with Mr. Zach Clay. Zach, good stuff today. What did you feel about today, and where will the fine people see you next?
That was really awesome. That was very good combat, and then just like using the architecture of the ship too was very cool, and then looking in the logs and then dismembered bodies. It's so cool.
In our safe, comfortable chairs in our offices.
It's not half bad. Not half bad.
Outstanding. I see what you did.
So yes,
That's body good.
Oh god. So yeah, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to venture through the rest of this ship and then get at least some degree of vengeance isn't the right word, but comeuppance to Spindra for abandoning us. Although maybe she is, an eyewitness to some very gruesome things, and we should be more pitiful. But anyway, I am very happy about tonight. I will see you guys in a couple of weeks, and then also on our vocalist sometime soon this month, hopefully. And yeah, that's about it. Have a good night, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. Good stuff tonight as always. You will get a chance to see him not only for Esper Genesis, but hopefully we're working on getting him set for hopefully our vocalists. So we will see. It's going to be December. Scheduling is always interesting, but we're going to do the best we can to get everyone there. So thank you, Zach. As always, great pleasure. And definitely check Zach out with his channel where he does music and games and all that kind of good stuff. And that leads us to Carlos. Same thing, Carlos. Really some interesting stuff there. I was really enjoying the con moment, the spinner kind of a moment, and the various screams. How'd you feel about today, and where will the fine people, if you want to talk about the NYSF thing again, you could do that too.
Yeah, I'll just do it for the late crowd here. I'll be reading at the New York Review of Science Fiction reading. The links there just popped up in the stream chat. And so, yeah, my wife Claire Cooney, who is a World Fantasy Award-winning writer, and I will be doing the Christmas holiday edition of the New York Review of Science Fiction. Should be a lot of fun. I loved tonight. It was tons of fun. It was the sort of night where I felt like the creatures, especially like early on, and because our rolls were so terrible for so much of the night, we had to survive first, and so that meant sort of like throwing ourselves down holes and shooting up from holes, and those of us who don't have fire hammers just sort of like healing the people who don't have fire hammers. So yeah, it was good, intense, interesting combat, from disadvantage in a lot of ways. So that was interesting, and getting to know this weird ship better too is, it's all like in that Dead Spacey kind of way. I think that's a really good description of it. Tons of fun. And so yeah, you'll see me at New York Review of Science Fiction, and next month I'll start being able to give more information about my book that's coming out in March. And so yeah.
Awesome, Carlos. Thanks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing even more about it as we get closer to it. Absolutely, good stuff. And last but certainly not least, in terms of people who are with us today, Kat, thank you. It was great to have you back with us again. And how did you feel? You got back, and you're like, wow, thanks, guys. This is what we've been doing. Well,
the thing that astonished me most, it was that we had accumulated a dog, and no one thought to mention it to me until fairly early on. I had to mentally readjust everything at that moment.
That's a good point. That's bearing the lead.
But with a dog.
That's it. I liked the Marie Celeste quality of tonight's episode. I thought it was spooky and horrific, and I'm always happy when Petra gets a chance not just to hit something with a hammer, but set it on fire.
Yeah, that was great. You had some other good ideas in there too that would have, like, even the command idea would have been a good one under other circumstances. So.
I'm itching to use that command
yeah.
at some point.
Yep. No, I think it in the right circumstances it can be very powerful. So, what would you like folks to know about specifically going on with you in terms of things they should be looking out for from you soon?
So a couple things. If you are in Detroit in mid-January at Confusion, I will be there. I've also confirmed I'll be at Gen Con next year. Thinking ahead, we might start planning way ahead this time.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got a bunch of classes coming up for the Rambo Academy for Wayward Writers, including we've got a very cool class with Shannon McGuire, in fact, starting this weekend. Other classes with myself, Rachel Swirsky, Fran Wild, and other notables.
Awesome. Thank you, Kay. Yeah, and absolutely. Kat's stuff that with that. I'm always jealous looking at the Twitter about all the, hey, come over and check out this notable, this luminary, this, so she gets all the best people, including herself. But it's good stuff, and yeah, I'm very excited about that with Gen Con. I'm going to talk to Brian about this elsewhere, but I'm really going to try to make a push to try to get the folks like you folks out to Gen Con for a variety of reasons, both because for those of us who are writers, Gen Con has, as Kat knows, the largest writing track of any North American convention now. So it's a pretty big deal, and they do amazing stuff there. It's run by Kelly Swales and Melanie Metters. And so for that would be good for authors, but for gamers as well, obviously, Gen Con is where it's at. And so I'd love to be able to do a live session like I do at Gen Con for the symposium. I'd like to be able to do a live session of Esper Genesis from there. So like we did at PAX with Johnny and me. So anyway, we will talk more about that, but we're going to try to plan this, as Kat said, way ahead of time this time, and not like a month ahead of time. So we'll see if we can do that earlier this time rather than later. But last, of course, we have Johnny Pittman. Johnny, of course, could not join us because of power problems, but he will be in a place with generators and things like that by the time we play next. And so we should, knock on wood, have everybody back with the full crew and have the full force of this fully operational battle station, so to speak, of Esper Genesis when that happens. So definitely join us for that. And chat, can I get some love for all of the wonderful players? It was great to have everyone back in the saddle. And I will see these folks in, I believe we're scheduled for 2 weeks from now, if I'm not mistaken. So the 21st, we will be back. So until then, for Carlos, for Kat, and for Zach, thank you all so much. And I will see all you wonderful people very soon. So bye-bye for now.
Thank you, Greg.
Bye.
Oh, always my pleasure. Always. Thank you. There we go. Good stuff. Very good stuff, guys. That was great. Really had a good time with that, and I hope you folks did as well. Yeah, that was... It's really interesting running a combat like that, where there is this sort of intensity of feeling, and so much of it is about what you don't see. In a way, it's one of the reasons that, although it's one of my pet peeves that science fiction is continually sort of confused with horror when it doesn't have to be horror, but in a way you can see why, because it's so foreign to our experience, and it is true that it's often so silent and so cold, and all of these things kind of make you feel like this is bad news and I don't want to deal with it. And so, getting the chance to do some of this was interesting. And again, Brian from Alligator Alley is responsible for writing this and did a really good job putting this together. And there's other stuff. Yeah, they're not consigned to Oblivion, but the universe is young, as they say nonstop. No, we'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing how everything gets played out. But it was a lot of fun, as always, playing with them, and I'm looking forward to 2 weeks from now. But that is going to do it for me for this evening. I'm going to be back to you folks for Curse of Strahd as we continue my D&D show. That's going to be happening tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. I can still officially say tomorrow because it's not quite midnight here. I do want to remind everybody I have a big announcement coming tomorrow relating to the channel. Now, I've already made one big announcement, which is that Alligator Alley, that sponsors, of course, Esper Genesis, is going to be publishing my Forbidden Library trilogy. I'm very excited about that, and we will have more details about that for you extremely soon, like in the very near future. But I have another channel-related announcement that I'm going to be making tomorrow, which is going to really... There's going to be a lot of cool stuff happening on the channel, I will just say. I've also got publishing news, other publishing news I can't talk about yet, but I'm excited. Like, you do not want to miss it. So definitely be here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Spread the word, because, again, a lot of big news is going to be coming, and big channel news is coming that's going to be happening in January, so you do not want to miss. And yes, Nonstop, the Forbidden Library that chat did some help with, specifically in coming up with some NPCs and things like that. But, I'll be talking to those people about that. So, yeah, the rotating bookshelf. Well, the biggest thing is the librarian. In the first one was a big deal, and some other things. It was really fun, sort of writing this sequence. And of course, I have the basic in my head, know what the third adventure is, but I haven't finished writing the third adventure. The first 2 adventures are done, obviously. And by the time the Kickstarter was finished, the third adventure would be at least partially completed. But I really am enjoying, having a chance to kind of see them go through that. So yeah, the nonstop rotating bookshelf. Exactly. So, but that is going to do it for me for this evening. And I think we are going to do a raid, but we'll probably do an automatic one, I think. Let's see who we've actually got on the list here. All right, let's see. No. Yes. This is a person who will be, I think, a good person to raid. Just give me a second. Okay, good. Yes, this person is still here, so that's great. So the way that we're not going to be doing the typical raid call that we do, because we're going to do an automatic raid. So basically, once the outro video is done, please stick around, and then we will auto raid. We will go over and auto raid this person that I'm going to go to. But please do stick around for the raid. Then after that, you can head to bed or go wherever you want to go. But I think you will like going on this raid to this person, and it's always a good thing for their channel, for my channel, and so forth. Speaking of good things for my channel, if you haven't already done so, please follow this channel, which makes a big difference. Please make sure to support the channel in various ways. Check out the YouTube channel, !ArvTube, Discord with !ArvCord. Don't forget, of course, the Twitter with !ArvTweets. Don't forget the shop, !ArvShop, which has merchandise right now for Infinity and Beyond, but soon we'll have merchandise for other things as well. !ArvTreon will get you over to my Patreon, where you can support that, and please do that. The inspirations that you saw J-Rab use tonight was a big deal. That actually really really helped in the fight that they were doing against them. So you can have an influence here. So please make sure that you support the Patreon because it really helps the channel and it gets you other cool stuff as well. Remember, there's also goals for the channel. When you get higher in that Patreon goal, more good things happen for the channel as a whole. So that's also a good thing. And then, of course, the subsystem, last but certainly not least, we had a few people who resubbed today, and I think a couple of people who cheered as well. I think Jay actually cheered. So thank you to Jay for the resub. Thank you for the cheer. And thank you to those of you who resubbed tonight. If you haven't already done so, I think we're about 41, 42 subs. So we're kind of moving our way back upwards to 50 and beyond. So please consider doing that. Supporting by subbing is also a good way to support the channel, along with the Patreon, of course, which is really super awesome. As for me, I will be back to you wonderful folks on Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern for Curse of Strahd and Infinity and Beyond. I'm looking forward to that. A lot of stuff happening in that campaign, quite obviously. And then, of course, next week we'll be back to a somewhat more normal schedule. Adventures of Middle-earth on Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and then at 4 p.m. Eastern, we've got some more Thronebreaker coming up with Pen and Pixels and GOG. But that is all in the future. For right now, I'm going to be getting on out of here, and we will do this raid again as soon as you hear my, as soon as you see the video outro finish, then we will stick around and do the automatic raid to this person. Thank you all so much for being here. Much love to all of you, all wonderful people, best viewers on Twitch. Thank you again to my wonderful players. Thank you to Cat Rambo. Thank you to Carlos Hernandez. Thank you to Zach Clay. And of course to Johnny Pippin, who will be back with us hopefully in 2 weeks on the 21st. But thanks everybody, and thank you most of all in this case to Alligator Alley and to Brian Dalrymple for writing the adventure, and Alligator Alley for sponsoring us, and Esper Genesis, because it really has been great. We've had a lot of fun, and we hope you have enjoyed it as well. Good night, everyone. That's going to do it for me. Stick around for the raid, and I will see all of you wonderful people soon. Until then, be good to each other. Have a good night.
When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I grew older, I set aside childish ways. Corinthians 13:11. In the distant future, mankind has spread into the stars and found it is not alone. Within the cluster of planets known as the Silrain Heart, many races strive for survival or supremacy. But throughout this array of planets, societies, and cultures, each has one thing in common. The Crucibles. Scattered throughout the galaxy, each moon-sized structure contains a core of raw sorin, a form of mysterious energy used to power ships, cities, and sometimes the warping of the fabric of reality itself. Beings who can do this have been given a name: Espers. The power of God has been granted to God's children. It is a time of terror. It is a time of wonder. It is the time of Esper Genesis.